Camera. What do you want the camera? It's pointing. See how I look up here?
I do, but he said he's going to moderate it.
Okay. Okay. Right now he's on, so he'll moderate it.
Yes.
He's got everything. Okay. So they can go to one. Well, that's what we want me to mute. See, I don't want to.
Okay, what is it that you need to tell me?
Is he going to mute it and then make the screen where it just shows him? Or does he want to see the audience? I'm just turning it over.
He's on.
Okay, well, yeah, let's just turn it over. It's okay. He'll manage it. I just didn't know whether he wanted to see the audience or not. If he just wants to see the panel. Turn it on. See the panel.
All right, thank you for everybody being here. Can I get everybody's attention? Can I get everybody's attention? I want to thank everybody for coming out. Give yourself a blanket. Debrief on what took place today. We went out to Brownsburg. We went out there. There have been some threats. People was talking about that they were going to take their cars and run over us. Police chief called the state chairman, Brother Yatsu. We're going to allow local traffic to break the perimeter, which means that the people that was contacting us and the police were coordinated.
Right.
We got out there. There was a gray car that looked like that it was poised. And first of all, let me even announce it. This is Brother Yatsu, state chairman. Brother Naji, national prime minister. We got Brother McCain, yes sir, national spokesperson. Lion of Judah. Give me your name, stand up please.
Dawson. James. Antonio.
Let's see, who else? Who have I forgot? Brother Jabari. Out of Oakland. Folks is out of Minnesota. 22. Local.
We are Indiana Chief of Staff for the new Black Panther Party. So that is.
We're growing.
Yes, sir. The line of duty is out of Minnesota. We've got guys on travel.
Tampa. We rolled out there. Oklahoma.
Sister Lakeisha asked Oklahoma City chairwoman.
That lady on fire right there. That's right. I mean, that lady on fire right there. Yeah, I mean, that lady on fire right there. You know, she reminded me of you.
Yeah.
You know, cause y'all get up and y'all burn. You know, y'all make it heat. No prisoners. And when we went out there, they was talking about where y'all at, cause we supposed to be out there at noon. We didn't get out there about 1, cause we was making sure everybody had everything squared away. Where y'all at? We coming. When we got there, the police tried to stop us. Is everything all right? Yeah, everything all right. We kept on rolling, pulled up, got out. There was a gray car that kept acting like it wanted to run over the participants. Order was, if he comes this way, shoot to keep. That's right. Did y'all hear what I said?
Yes, sir.
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
We ain't hating it no more. Police heard us say, she stated, he stated. I put my little 2 cents in there. The car decided to turn around. Because we tired of being treated beneath our humanity. You don't treat humans like that. Talking about running over humans? Nah. You run over us, you're gonna catch a bullet. Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
And we ain't playing. Brothers was locked and loaded. People started looking out. Right. Police evidently told everybody to stand down. We didn't have no problems. In fact, some of the folks come out of the house and supported us. White folks. Out there chatting. Kids waving down. Say that again? Kids waving down. Yeah. Hey, y'all Negroes. Folks were saying, well, y'all gonna let them walk the streets all? That's right. You're gonna outlaw the law, and we following the law? That'd be out of your mind.
Come on.
Because we wasn't playing. And so we're organized. Come on in. We're organized. And everybody has been given a sheet. And we want you to fill it out so that we can get back to it. We're organized. One of the things, and you know this very well, Dr. Brown, that J. Edgar Hoover, who was head of the FBI for ages, tried to lock you up, didn't he? Yeah, right. Oh, we got some people in the room. He said the key to keeping white supremacy, white and supreme in America, is to make sure the black organizations do not get together and get organized.
Right.
He named Elijah Muhammad,
That's right.
Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
the Black Panther Party,
Sir. 1 and 2.
Huey P. Newton,
Come on.
who else?
Stokely
Stokely Carmichael, Snick, Fred Hampton,
Come on.
Marcus.
Yes, sir.
He said, we can't have those people get together. If they get together, they're gonna make giant steps toward freedom.
Come on.
On the panel, Elaine Brown, president, after Stokely and Bobby Seale, who was the other one? Eldridge Idris Clark, well, Geronimo, he got ran out too. All of them got ran out of the country. She stepped up and took a hold. Stokely got ran out, but we got Mukasa, who was Stokely's right hand man. He gonna be here.
Right.
We had Dr. Khalid Muhammad, who was trying to pull everything together, got shot out in Riverside, California.
Right.
Tried to take him out. He didn't die.
No way.
He multiplied.
Come on. Right.
I don't think he was kin to Baby though. Y'all don't know Baby. But he multiplied and he set into motion the chairman of the New Black Panther Party, Dr. Malik Shabazz.
Right.
He's the one that's pulling us together.
Right.
He said that we should not let our differences stop us from unifying because we have a common enemy.
Right. That's right. He said.
What sense does it make for us to argue with each other and we got a common enemy? Who's killing us both?
Come on.
Dr. Rush, good to see you. President of the non-denominational ministers in my in the house. We're pulling it together. There was some elected officials that told me they was coming up in here too. I ain't seen them yet. But this ain't no place if you're scared. If you're scared, you need to go find someplace else to be.
Right.
And I'm checking my watch because Elaine comes on at 5:30. And she's Dr. Howard, can you turn up the light so that the video is a little better? Thank you. Elaine Brown is a very principled person. No nonsense.
Right.
So when it comes 5:30, I got to be ready. And we're gonna be ready. And she's going to share with us, give us a major address. She at this point, she's the mother of the revolution. How old is Elaine? 18? She got to be about your age. And you
Hey.
It's all good. Are y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
Are y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
You know, there's nothing wrong with having fun, but we ain't playing. Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power! We ain't playing. And these soldiers, look, they got out there and they stormed the perimeter. Didn't nobody break it. And we was armed. about how we was gonna conduct ourselves out there. If somebody tries to break the perimeter, what was the order?
Shoot. That's right.
What was it?
Shoot to kill.
What was it?
Shoot to kill.
Shoot to kill.
With no hesitation.
And don't shoot once.
That's right.
Shoot regularly. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Uh-oh. Can I get an a woman? I'm telling you. And we had a little sister Asika.
Yes, sir.
She grabbed the mic.
Is it strong UPT?
Fire! Fire! Yeah! In fact, we had a sis. She was walking around.
She was dragged in front of the bigger
The boy, she was on fire! And this brother right here. Uh-oh, where'd he go? He was right there. The state chairman. Put the mic in front of me. He said, man, why you calling white folks crackers? Didn't they ask him that?
Yeah.
He says, well, I ain't talking about all of them. But those who shot my brother down, my cousin, and has been running around here talking about that they want to put us up under death threat. Them crackers.
Right.
Now, he didn't say anything about some graham crackers. Because you know there's some black folks who get with these. Them grahams. But we're going to, yeah, we're gonna go and set this up for Elaine. The way that we're gonna do this, we're gonna have Elaine Brown come on.
I'm here, by the way.
Look at that. Look at that. Boy, that's living history. Give that woman a hand. Give that woman a hand. Yes. She stepped up when they ran the bid out.
That's right. Right.
And the leadership quality did not go down.
Right. Right.
Truth be told, he stepped up. Living history. The mother of the revolution. And she's going to share where we be, where we are, where we got to go.
That's right.
And she done gave me my marching orders. Told me that I wrote a bibliography. She says, "Boy, look, this is what you need to say." You know what I said? Yes, ma'am. You got me. Elaine Brown is a former leader of the Black Panther Party. As Minister of Information and Chairman, she is the author of A Taste of Power, and that's an excellent book.
Right.
Read that book. And The Condemnation of Little B. A Taste of Power was optioned in 2017 by Robbie Brenner Productions, Dallas Buyers Club, for production of a feature film, slated to start filming in 2022, with distribution by Netflix, and was just published in June 2021 as a new audio book by Audio and soon in a new French edition. She's fluent in French.
Not really.
You lived there, didn't you?
I did.
You can say hello. That's fluent to me. Because I can say that. But I'm telling you, this is living history. Elaine is executive director of the Michael Lewis Legal Defense Committee, supporting the legal appeal of Lewis, little me, who was arrested in 1997 in Atlanta, Georgia, at the age of 13 for a murder he did not commit. I got it sound right there. Was convicted and sentenced as an adult to life in prison, where he remains. A motion for a new trial is pending. Elaine is CEO of the nonprofit organization Oakland and the World Enterprises, Inc., OAW, dedicated to launching and sustaining for-profit businesses for cooperative ownership by formerly incarcerated and other people facing extreme barriers to economic survival. The organization acquired a 3/4-acre property in West Oakland, California, where it established its first business and urban farm. I'd like to talk to Elaine about establishing that. People can't call themselves free if they can't feed themselves. In late 2021, it launched its second business, a food truck. OAW is developing the property to build 4 businesses and 79 100% affordable housing units projected for groundbreaking in early 22. She's still on the warpath. She ain't stopped. Elaine studied classical piano, and I didn't know that, for years, including at the Philadelphia Conservatory of Music, and has recorded 2 albums of original songs, one for Motown Records. Elaine's papers are archived at Emory University. Without further ado, I bring you the mother of the revolution, Elaine Brown.
All right. Well, I want to say all power to the people, first of all. I assume you can hear me. Am I starting now?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Yes,
I was distracted. What'd you say?
Okay, so you want me to get started now? I'm going to make some comments and then you hopefully have some questions. Brother Ajabu.
Do we need to turn the audio up here? Where is it?
Say something, man.
Hold it.
Man.
I've been saying something. I will say all power to the people. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Barely.
give me some of that.
Where's Brother how? Hold on, Sister Elaine. Let's get you a little more audio because we need to hear what you got to say.
While we're waiting to get this technical difficulty figured right quick, we do have a food truck outside, so if people are hungry, there's a food truck out there. There's no pork on that truck, and they have vegan meals also. They have refreshments, popcorn, candy also you can get right here, but just if we move in and out, please move in and out quietly. Keep the noise down as much as possible, but it's there if you guys want it.
Brother Howard, can we get some more audio so we can hear what Sister Elaine is going to say?
I tried to turn the volume up, I think I hit the wrong button.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
They need to, there they go. Yes.
Pastor said, yeah, he don't want to do
You don't
it.
want it in there? Okay. In the corridor?
Yeah, in the corridor, that's fine, but just not inside here.
All right, Sister Elaine, say something.
I'm going to say again, all power to the people.
All power to the people.
Right.
You think, are we resolved on this audio question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, again, I want to say all power to the people. I hope people won't rush to the food truck while we're having this conversation. They might wait a minute. I want to thank you, Brother Ajabu, for inviting me, and I want to talk about the theme that you're presenting today in this gathering, the question raised by Dr. King in 1967 in a great speech that he made, where do we go from here? And as we know, at that time, King was organizing the Poor People's Campaign, but the FBI would kill him before he got to Washington, D.C., to occupy D.C. until we got our check cashed, as he said. He said that despite the passage of 1964 and 1965 Civil Rights and Voting Rights Acts, he pointed out that Black people at the time had half of what was good and double of what was bad in America. So in other words, yeah, we got after 100 years, we have our quote civil rights, and meaning we could share bathroom with white people and eat at the counters of little places like Woolworths. And we had the right to vote at that point. And he said, but where do we go from here? Because we see that Black people still have half of what is good and double of what is bad. And in those days, of course, as you know, we talked about the movement. We talked about Black people as a group that had suffered hundreds of years of brutal oppression in the United States of America. We talked about African people and descendants of African people torn from our native land, stripped of any other land, stripped of our name, culture, religion, denied all means of survival, denied the right to have a family, education, even the very right to live every single day for decades, for centuries, generation upon generation, owned and controlled by the white man who built his wealth and power on our blood and our labor. Now, this is what we talked about, we as a people, who we were, and we have to talk about ourselves as a people. And among the various Black organizations of the time that we considered part of the movement, you had everything from Dr. King's SCLC to the SNCC organization, Nation of Islam, Republic of New Africa, and so forth, also including the Black Panther Party. And all of us said we were seeking one thing, and that was freedom. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I be buried in my grave. That was the agenda we generally put before ourselves because we identified and recognized that we were not free. Excuse me. The fundamental analysis of the Black Panther Party, though, was that the only pathway to freedom for our people was the complete dismantling of the established order in the United States that had been and was oppressing us. There was no fixing it, no reforming it, no integrating into it. We call for revolutionary change we believe it could only come from a bloody armed confrontation between the oppressor and the oppressed. The focus of our effort, though, was to organize the oppressed into the kind of mighty fist that could win such a confrontation. We would consider ourselves a revolutionary vanguard. Our purpose was to get the people ready for a revolution. So we said all power to the people. Everything we did, from our free breakfast for children and other survival programs, to building coalitions with other oppressed and revolutionary organizations inside the US and beyond, like the Brown Berets, the Young Lords, going also to Frelimo in Mozambique, to ZANU in Zimbabwe, to the governments of China and Cuba, to running for public office, to publishing our newspaper, opening a school. Every single thing that we did was an effort to organize Black and oppressed people into a revolutionary force. Needless to say, the entire United States government came down on us with its full force in the form of the FBI, calling us the greatest threat to the internal security of the United States. And the FBI and its COINTELPRO agenda was simply to, pardon me, as they said, disrupt, discredit, and ultimately destroy the Black Panther Party. There were the great examples, like in December of 1969, the FBI directed the murders of our leaders in Chicago, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, and then went on to assault our offices in LA. Over 250 members of the newly formed LAPD SWAT team descended on us. As a matter of fact, at our main office, there were SWAT teams in the hundreds, SWAT team members. Pigs attacked 11 Panthers, and I must say that 11 Panthers, 9 brothers and 2 sisters fought for 5 hours or more and lived to tell the story of that assault and the SWAT team. Yeah, that's right. Eventually, yeah, that's right. But eventually, by 1981, we can say the Black Panther Party collapsed from the weight of everything, inside and outside and all around. And so we disappeared. But now we can say in these 40 years since the collapse, we can say, of the Black Panther Party, what has happened? What have we been doing, should we ask, in light of our ongoing oppression of our people? Because we have to recognize our condition that right now we have the highest poverty rate in America. We have the highest homelessness rate, the highest cancer death rate, the highest maternal and infant mortality rates, the lowest education achievement levels, the lowest home ownership. Black business revenues remain at less than 1% of all business revenues in the United States, and Black people represent almost 50% of the prison population. So if we don't see that these are the manifestations of our ongoing oppression, then we start becoming deluded, and this we can look at it, and despite what I call the popularity of the slogan or the hashtag Black Lives Matter. So as we approach this new year, another year, we still have to ask the question you're raising today, which is, where do we go from here? Now, I would say the first thing we have to recognize, outside of the fact that we are remaining oppressed people as manifested by the statistics I just mentioned, is we really have no organized opposition to the United States government and the status quo. Now, a lot of nonprofits and left opportunists and house Negroes get mad when I say that, but they cannot refute it. Because in order for us to know where we go, we have to acknowledge and assess where we are. What do we have? We have the internet-based Black Lives Matter people. We got the Me Too. We got voting rights group, LGBTQ folks, Negroes in low and high places in government betraying us at every turn, starting with Kamala Harris, preceded by Obama. We have corporate Negroes benefiting from the recent rhetoric of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So to answer the question, where do we go from here? I think we have to begin by becoming we again and not thinking in these capitalist, individualistic ways about ourselves. We can't just be upset or organize or come together when George Floyd gets murdered by pigs, which we stood by and watched, and then cried about it, and then prayed about it, with Negro lawyers standing by making millions of dollars on the settlements of all the George Floyd cases. And we spent over a year trying to get a George Floyd Justice in Policing Act passed, as if that was going to matter in the first place. Is the same stuff. Would they have to wear an extra something camera-wise, whatever? The man was crushed to death, and we stood by and watched it. Back in the day, we said, the way to deal with policing problems is off the pig. That's what we said.
Off the pig, that's right. Yes.
Now, at this moment, some of us, I just want to say there's some of us in the Bay Area, we're struggling to get the progressive San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin, who is the son of the former Weather Underground member Kathy Boudin, to reopen the cases of 2 brothers that were murdered by the police in the last 10 years or so, Kenny Harding and Mario Wood, brutally murdered, with footage, with video. Nobody's saying anything. Progressive DA, nothing. Some of us still working with Wanda Johnson, who is the mother of Oscar Grant, the case here in Oakland where I am. And we trying to reopen that case to get the second cop indicted. And this is how low level we are now. We're just trying to get indictments for police that have murdered our people, because we don't have an organization that's ready to say the next one to shoot somebody is going to have to suffer a consequence that is commensurate with their murder. And in the meantime, we have people like Jay-Z and Beyonce advertising for Tiffany. I consider that to be an outrage and an embarrassment. So back to the theme of where do we go from here? We have to decide we are one people. We are one people. We have to recognize that we are an oppressed people and stop pretending that we're not oppressed. We're like, oh, we made these little strides here. We got some little something here. We are an oppressed people in the United States and throughout the African diaspora. The poor of the world are on the continent, the poorest of the world, despite the continuing riches being stolen and the people being oppressed on the continent. We have to decide that our agenda is freedom, freedom from all forms of oppression, freedom to determine our own destinies. We have to decide that we do not want a piece of this poisonous American pie. We have to decide that we need to organize, organize, and organize again. We have to commit ourselves to the complete overthrow of the existing American scheme toward the introduction of a new and humane social order where we will guarantee our freedom. And we have to commit our very lives to this struggle for freedom, the freedom of Black and all other oppressed people. And we have to mean it when we say, and I'm going to close by saying, all power to the people. Thank you.
Sister Elaine, we really appreciate your words and the history that you're sharing with us. Is that to shut down a little bit of this system is to say that we'll accept a little bit of oppression.
Or a lot.
Or a lot. And so you find the leadership today, so-called elected leadership, saying that the solution to us relieving our oppression is the vote.
Right.
Interact with that for me.
What did you say?
I say interact with that for me. What would you say? Will us voting cause us to be free?
Well, clearly not, because we're voting in a system that the president is going to be the president. It's all interchangeable, whether it's Obama or Trump. You didn't see anything change under either one. Okay. If you remember, Obama, the first big thing he did was to bail out the banks and investment houses because they were too big to fail. Now we walking around here scraping for food, and Obama gives money to the banks that stole so much from the Black community during the pyramid scheme, the housing pyramid scheme. And that's just the immediate little teeny thing. And worse than that, as far as I'm concerned, Obama murdered and orchestrated the coup of Muammar Gaddafi, who was our friend.
Yeah.
We missed that because we're living in some other dreamland and we don't get it. And plus we're still talking about north and south of the Sahara, but Gaddafi was our friend.
That's right.
And he was a friend of Black people when we didn't even know we had it. We didn't even know about where Libya was. Okay. Still don't know, matter of fact, you know. So I think the concept, that doesn't mean we don't want to, if we can use the vote, we can use any tool. It's called any means necessary. If you find that you got some little elected official, but let's look at Ferguson, Missouri. Yeah. Do you recall when Michael Brown was killed by the police, a teenage boy murdered? Oh, that's when everybody wants to tell us they had experience in the movement. Oh, I marched in Ferguson. I don't know what you did in Ferguson. Whose streets are streets? You know, hands up, don't shoot. I don't even know what that one meant. But anyway, it's like, what? Hands up, don't shoot. That's not, no. But anyway, and so we marched and we carried on in Ferguson, which is a very small, majority Black city, which is really an appendage of St. Louis, right? And they marched and carried on and everything. And then they had an election for mayor. And guess who they elected? This is after Michael Brown was murdered. Who was elected? A white boy, former cop, Republican. And I'm not making this up. And wait, he was re-elected. After that, they finally got a sister as the current mayor. What is going to change? Is she going to do something about police or housing? Because the real problem is our poverty, our inability to have any money or power of our own. what do we have? So what is it that the elected officials here in Oakland, we got Negroes, been having Negroes. Once they get in office, they're black, until they get in office. They're like Kamala Harris. She came from this area. She used to be black.
Yeah.
I don't know if you realized that when Kamala was here in Oakland, she was a DA, a deputy DA in Oakland.
Right.
And she was black then. And she went over to San Francisco because she knew she couldn't become the DA of Oakland or Alameda County. And she became the DA of San Francisco. And that's when she was black then. She was even working with the Nation of Islam. She talked so much black stuff, you would have been shocked. We didn't know about the Southeast Asian part. We didn't know about she didn't have a Jewish appendage, she didn't have that. But now we're not sure that she even is black. And if she is black, like Karen Bass is black, what is Karen Bass doing? Nothing. What do these people produce? They sit there and they waste our time. So the question is, do we want to vote for people because they're black? Not that I think that there are any others, but as long as they are staying within this system, that's what's going to happen. They're going to continue the agenda. Now, there may be some minor relief, and we want to grab onto that. We don't want to dismiss it. I'll take some extra, healthcare money, even though it's very little. But it's called survival. But other than that, the vote has no real meaning for us, not to count that we are still only 13% of the population. If all of us voted for one person, it still wouldn't matter. So I think the vote could be a tool in a local area, but it doesn't mean much on a national level.
I was watching an interview of you and Kwame Ture. And in that interview, you shared that J. Edgar Hoover has shared that he wasn't really concerned about black people picking up the gun. He was more concerned about the narrative and the psychological impact that you were having on people of African descent, to whereas that they were coming under the common mindset, we ain't gonna take it no more. Why do you think J. Edgar Hoover was not so concerned about the gun, but about the words that were coming off your tongue?
Well, I think that Hoover was certainly right. And we have to always have a correct analysis, and that analysis has to be based on objective conditions and not what we like to think. Like, I'm very proud that our comrades in LA fought the pigs the way they did. They were courageous, they're heroic. But we couldn't have sustained a battle like that against the LAPD, much less the county sheriff. Once the county sheriff kicked in, once the state police kicked in, once the National Guard kicked in, once the Coast Guard, then we got the FBI, the ATF, the CIA, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. This country is strapped like a mother. We cannot have an out and out battle, not us, but the power does belong to more than us. And so we organize people who, if we're feeding your children, 9 times out of 10, you hear us. And that made it very dangerous. So for every child that we fed, you had at least 3 people that are now looking at the Black Panther Party agenda, which is to overthrow the government, which was illegal at the time and probably still is illegal to say. And so now that's a problem. So now the majority of people are not voting for Joe Biden. The majority of people don't fall in love with Obama. The majority of people talking about off the pig. What? So now it's not just the little puny guns of the Black Panther Party. Now you got so many millions of Black people all organized as one, joined by Latinos, Mexicans in California, by Puerto Ricans in Chicago and in New York, by other groups of people, and then even gays and women. We hit on everybody that we could. Join the army, because we can't take this thing down alone. And if we think we can, that's when we start puffing up and talking rhetoric and talking stuff and thinking that we bad when we really not bad. J. Edgar Hoover said, you ain't bad. What's bad is you getting these other people organized. So yes, that's the goal. And that's my goal today in building housing, in developing these businesses for Black people, cooperative ownership, by the way. Co-op on my farm, and we're gonna have a little fitness center, have a neighborhood market. These are just little survival things, but they are models for what we can do. We seized that 1¾ acre of property. I got that property because I went crazy in the city of Oakland. They ended up having to give it to me because they had no excuse for why they didn't let us have it. And so the bottom line is organizing is rough. And that's what Hoover understands. It's day to day. It's not glamorous. It's not speechifying. It's not puffing up. It's not talking shit when you really can't deliver anything. Excuse my language.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
so that my point is that, you are dangerous when you start organizing the people, because the people really have the power by simple virtue of numbers. We outnumber you. So when we start acting as a group and not going off, but you see, one of the problems we have is that we've got people who are in certain positions because of corporate, it's beneficial for this year. We're this year's flavor, give the Negroes a job and have them continue to work for Amazon and keep Coca-Cola going and keep raping Africa and be in the army. Thank you for your service, all that. We've got to figure out how to change those minds and change those actions. So yeah, J. Edgar Hoover was right. Our guns were nothing compared to this country, because this country is truly strapped.
Right.
When you talk about,
But by the way, I must say this. We de-emphasized the gun in favor of survival programs, but we never put down the gun. We always believed, as some of us still do,
yes,
not only in the right of self-defense, but that we must recognize that we are oppressed by a violent group of people who are some rogue barbarians, and we cannot deal with them with words. With our people, we can deal with our people with words, but with the enemy. So I tell everyone, there's no coming into Elaine Brown's house and not getting shot, because that's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to die. It could be me, but it won't be because I sat here and tried to convince you not to kick in my door.
Amen. One more question for you, and then I know that you're busy. Well, but I've got one more question.
I appreciate it.
And that is to try to learn from your experiences about how the party was infiltrated. How would organizations that are trying to live up to the legacy that you have, how do we create a vetting process that can weed out the William O'Neills?
Well, first of all, there's some kind of a myth that we had 1 million William O'Neills. That's just absolutely untrue.
Okay.
In order to be in the Black Panther Party, I don't know about anybody else, but we were 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the whole thing. That is to say, you didn't have a life where you just went off on your own and did what you wanted to do. So there was just the fact of the sheer work that was required once you got into the party. I will talk about William O'Neill in a second. Now, that doesn't mean, but if you focus on worrying about being infiltrated, then you will be distracted at a level that's almost impossible. All of the people who were William O'Neills, they had in New York, the New York 21, Eugene Roberts was the same Eugene Roberts, FBI operative, not just an informant, who was on the stage with Malcolm X in 1965 and head of his security. FBI, Gene Roberts, look it up. He ends up in the New York 21 case. Now, how's that even possible? Well, one reason it was possible because he, like O'Neill, they would be saying to people that were brothers, well, you some punks up here talking about serving breakfast programs. Y'all not doing shit. We need to blow up some shit. Excuse my language, we need to get down, show some spunk, act like a man. You acting like some kind of punk. And that'll get to the ego of people, and they then get you involved in a conspiracy to do some dumb stuff or get killed, because William O'Neill wasn't just there to report. He was there to instigate, to create a problem, and he did that. He created an electric chair, believe it or not, which we, the Black Panther Party, put on the front page of our paper, saying that we were going to put people to the test who were suspected of being infiltrators or informants, right? Now, who brought that up? The main infiltrator, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with poor Alex Rackley. Alex Rackley gets brought up from New York to New Haven, tortured, because everybody suspected that he was some type of age. The boy was 19 years old. You spent 3 days tortured. That's not a revolutionary. Now you done gone off into some other thing. So we have to be careful not to allow our minds and whispering down the lane. People would say things like, you know, Ajabu, there was a 5-minute period when he went outside and used the payphone. I wonder who he called. Now we all got to deal with that. Is there an issue? No, you have no basis. So we had to study and learn how to say, no information, no right to speak. Oh, you want to just accuse somebody of being an agent? Because that's the other way it happened. FBI would make sure they say, they drop a letter somewhere. This was part of the counterintelligence program to make you think there was something more going on than there was. The other thing we tried to do, we may not have been successful. If you tell me, say, you know, if you was really real, we need to be getting some guns together off these pigs. Come on right now. We're going right now. We're going to shoot somebody right now. No, I don't mean you're going to get to go nowhere. Right this minute, you brought it up, let's go. You'll be surprised how shocking that is to the system of somebody who's trying to play you. Because the FBI will give a Negro $10 to go in and drop a dime like that or drop a statement like that. So there's no real safe way, obviously. Look at all the betrayers that we have right now. In the pulpit, in the courthouse, in the school system. Look what they did. Are Black people doing anything for the school system? We just sit there and let stuff happen. We don't even fight for little stuff anymore, you know? And so it's not going to be difficult to buy a Negro to infiltrate. That ain't hard. You know, Negroes will go down for some, you know, what was that old statement that racist said about some warm shoes? You know what I'm saying? Give a Negro a Target card or something. You know what I'm saying? It's rough out here, brother. You can't guarantee anything. The other part is there are sincere people who come in for sincere reasons, but can't take the pressure. And so they become vulnerable to some small thing. And it's not big stuff. It's not like the big infiltrator guy and all that. It's somebody who would just say, I'm tired of this and I'm gonna tell them what you did last night. I'm gonna put some press out on you. I'm gonna do that. There's all of that. So you have to be careful to guard against being paranoid, but also try to figure out ways where people, the most common thing is that someone will start suggesting that you do some stuff that's going to cause you to either get killed or go to prison, because those people are always suspect unless they're ready to do, unless they've shown themselves. And Gene Roberts was an example, and William O'Neill was an example. And you know, there are people who say different people. There's a guy in LA, and people said, oh, he was an agent. And I'm like, where do you get this from? What did he do? I never saw anything. You just made up some stuff. You follow me? And so that's what I think you can do to, you know, to try and guard against infiltration.
You're going in and out. Oh, Lord. You're going in and out.
All
Say
right,
that
I'm
again.
sorry.
No,
All
no.
right.
Boy, we want to hear that. Say that again.
I said, well, the best thing is, you know, as I said, you have to try to protect yourself. There were people that were in LA. There was a couple people that were accused that I know. They were accused of being agents, and people really bought into that. And even today, even now, old as we all are, and we old, and still,
Some of us.
and still we say, we start thinking, oh, was someone an agent? Well, what did they do that made you say this? You see, and so we start imagining the same way we have on Whispering Down the Lane campaigns, and you know how you get these social media things where somebody makes an accusation. Now you got to spend the next 25 days defending something that wasn't anything in the first place. So that's the thing to guard against. That's my comment on that.
Thank you so much. Sister Elaine, please give her a black hand.
Thank you.
Sis, we really appreciate you giving us your valuable time and your valuable knowledge. And hopefully we can follow up with you concerning that community farm. And I'm really interested in that housing that you're doing.
Yeah. And
maybe,
get ready to do some more.
yeah, but maybe,
and I'm gonna show people how you can do it, because it's not no secret. It's hard work, but it's hard work that, you know, as Andy, one of the few things Andy Young said that I would ever quote, it's an easy burden.
Okay, well, we'll get with you, you know, to follow up on that and see if we can't duplicate that. And we really appreciate you.
All right, I appreciate you. I'm gonna take myself off and say power to the people, to everyone there. Too bad I couldn't see everyone, but I only see you.
Say that again.
I said, too bad I couldn't see the other people, but I'm happy to have been here.
Well, the place is full.
We can make it happen.
Yeah, hold on. These youngsters know a little more than what I know.
And they should know. That's the least they could do. Power to the people, everyone. Good to see you. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
We will be in touch.
All right. I look forward to it, Ajabu.
Yes, ma'am.
Take care. I'm going to cut myself off now. Thank you.
Next, as we move along, and we're going to get back with her. She has committed to helping us to move forward. She's our walking history. She knows. We got to take what she knows and move it further. That's right. The next brother that I'm going to bring up is local. He walks around. I might know his dad. It's a street name, that Andrew Brown. Do y'all know that street?
Yeah.
Dr. Brown came from Chicago. Original Mississippi. Oh, I'm gonna let you tell the story. But his son was a high official in SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. He trained people on how to resist nonviolently. Folks think that if you resist, you got to be violent in resistance, but no, you don't. You can resist, and I've done this down at the court after reading. I did after reading. What? Give me a name. The brother that just died that was from Georgia, that was a congressman. John Lewis! Y'all got to help me, man.
We are.
Sister said we old. She wasn't lying.
No.
She wasn't lying. But I read that and he talked about how they taught teachers how if the police put their hands on you.
Help him up, somebody.
Well, youngster help me. That brother help me. This is the brother that got me up off the floor.
Down at the courthouse.
Yeah. And told him. He told them they was all around with their guns. He said, "Don't fuck with them." Oh. Excuse me. and they backed up. And I learned that, whereas when they put their hands on me previously, I wanna split one of them lips.
Right.
I went down.
Make them work for it.
Yeah, the next move, this is what he taught. The next move, that if they put your gun to try to get you, then go live.
Let them work.
Don't help them. Go live. And now, because I've done that, the same thing happened with her at the City County Council meeting, and Jabari, you shared that with us in the car. And she just shared the reason why she was able to get the money to buy the land to do what she's doing now is because a person on the City County Council put their hands on her.
That's not happening.
I'm gonna let y'all know when I get paid. Amen. I'm gonna let you know. But I'm telling you, the guy that taught those tactics is in the room. Give a black hand. He's going to introduce someone that he worked closely with in the movie. And I hope he's on. Who's in my chat room and let me know if Mukasa is on? I need to know if Mukasa is ready to present. Where's the name? Ask him if Brother Mukasa is in the chat room. After we hear from Brother Mukasa, then and he's going to be about 10 minutes. Then we're going to hear from Brother Malik, Abdul Shabazz, and then we're going to bring up the panel. And we're going to combine the panel because we're going to go from the local to the national. And when our intent is to move to Chicago on the next move, to bring in Brother Farrakhan and all the other big names, and then go to Washington, D.C., so that we bring in all the African countries, so that we go international. The goal is to get into the position to control the resources that are being mined in Africa, to make them come through the hands of people here of African descent. And if we can negotiate that, we become world powers. Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! Do you understand the gold, the diamonds, the copper, the zinc, the manganese? Hell, I even think they selling some pig over here. Oh no, excuse me. Not pig. Beef. They might be selling that pig. Who all eating that pig? But don't tell us.
Who eat what?
That pig.
Nobody in here.
No, I hope not. Uh-oh, somebody's smiling. But leave that stuff alone. Is Mukasa there? Okay, if Mukasa is not there, is Brother Malik there?
Statistical data here.
She's gonna
Be
get a chance.
ready at 6:30 sharp.
Say who?
Our lead chairman will be ready at 6:30 sharp.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, what we're gonna do is we're going to start the plan.
Go ahead.
And brother, if you would come, and all the panelists, you would come and take a seat. Would you share with Brother Nuri that he's on stage? Well, we'll let him do that by himself.
Let's see.
Just have City County Council Person Monroe Gray to come into the room. Give him a black hand. Yes, sir.
That's good.
Hey. That's good.
All right, Dr. Brown, you'll be ready. Oh. Well, I'm giving it. Brother, it's your show.
Now, testing, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm fine.
Good?
I'm good. Now, what am I supposed to do? We're moderating.
Yes.
What's the question then?
The question is, where do we go from here? The goal of this panel is to bring the organizations together in light of what J. Edgar Hoover said, which Elaine alluded to, that the goal of COINTELPRO is to make sure that Black power organizations do not come together, because that would be a major step towards freedom, and you know that. You know that.
You made it plain.
Yeah, I mean, I got the language here. The coalition of militant Black nationalist groups in unity, there is strength, a truism that is no less valid for all its practice. An effective coalition of Black nationalist groups might be the first step toward a real now.
That's right.
Black revolutionary army in America, the beginning of a true Black revolution. His fourth goal was to prevent militant Black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability by nationalists by discrediting them to three separate segments of the community. The goal of discrediting Black nationalists must be handled actively in three ways. You must discredit those groups and individuals to, first, the responsible Negro community. Who that? Who that? More than that. Second, they must be discredited to the white community, both the responsible community and to liberals who have vestiges of sympathy for militant Black nationalists simply because they are Negro. And third, these groups must be discredited in the eyes of Negro radicals, the followers of the movement. This last area requires entirely different tactics from the first two. Publicity about violent tendencies and radical statements merely enhances Black nationalists to the last group. It adds respectability in a different way. We're talking about how do we see the ability to neutralize that? How can we, as an organization, unify, and this is your word, unify without being uniform?
Jabo, you've done an excellent job of addressing the last point. Subject, and the book was written, as Elaine had said, where do we go from here in regards to King's book? And what was the last three words? The community or what?
Chaos.
Chaos. We are in chaos. As it was just described into our panelists here, my first request is would each one of you take 1 minute and introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, where you're going. I'll start with you, my brother down there.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. I am Brother Nuri Muhammad, student, servant, soldier of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, and Black and oppressed people, wherever they are. And my destination, hopefully, is to aspire to inspire before I expire. So whatever I can do to play my part in this struggle that is a marathon relay race. It is a long race, and it also requires the passing of and receiving of the baton. I hope that my hands are strong enough to grab the baton to those passing it to me, and I hope that I can run my leg of the race at the pace that I should, that when I pass it on to the next generation, that they won't have another lap, but they'll be crossing the finish line, and we'll be able to say victory is ours.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for my coffee. I got some candy stuck in my throat. Not coffee.
There's a mic on the table.
Trotter.
There's a mic on the table.
Okay, my name is Eunice Trotter, and I am a sister who has deep roots in this state and a deep knowledge of the history of our folks here in this state. I am the former owner and publisher of the Indianapolis Reporter newspaper. I'm a historian. I'm a genealogist. I'm the daughter of a Garveyite, and I am here to share my knowledge about us as a people. We recently, this year, held what we call the Generation to Generation Conference, and through the planning of that conference, I was able to get a firsthand glimpse at many of the reasons that we have not been able to accomplish much as a people today in 2021. Oh, that was it. Pass it off to you on that note. All right. My name is Chief Latava Mabili Django, and I'm smiling because I see some fiery young people in the room that I'm so happy to see. So I think all the adults should be happy to see these young people.
Yeah.
That's the only reason we're here. One of the largest works that I'm here to represent is Her Living Campus on the southeast side of Indianapolis. I'm from the old west side. We have an immersive learning environment where we do a lot of solutionary work. So that is a big portion of my presence here. I'm very familiar, as some of you are familiar, I see a lot of familiar faces with the struggles of our people. I'm all about the work of being our own resolve. And I'm gonna let that be the reason that I'm here.
All right.
You might forget my name, but you'll remember it if you hear it again. I'm Chief Latava Mabili Django. Right.
Good job.
Black Power family.
Black Power.
Assalamu alaikum. Bonnie got it and Lottie Lee. My Christian family. Praise the Lord for the admonition. Hallelujah. I'm Minister Prince Najee Shaka Abdul Muhammad. As now sitting on the college grade warrior student, my mentor, my revolutionary father. And also, I still one of the great ministers for my spiritual father, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I used to be minister of Moss 18 in Cleveland, Ohio. I say we all as a people, as I say, during the year and the day, Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is the Revolutionary Collective Power Force. We all got to do something collectively. One organization cannot do it alone. True. Peace.
Yes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Minister Mikhail Muhammad. I'm based out of Jacksonville, Florida. I'm the national chairman of the new Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, up under the leadership of Malik Zulu Shabazz, our national chairman and attorney general. Some of you already know about me. I was heavily involved in the Trayvon Martin case, announced a $10,000 bounty that Attorney General Malik Shabazz put together, and I was the spokesman. As I look around all over America, we're seeing the same problems in the Black community. The Black man not standing up, taking care of his family, producing, providing like he should be. We're a divided house. Every day we look at the news media, we're seeing Black women being murdered by Black men, by white men. And we're not stepping up. And it's become clear nobody's going to protect and defend us. We got 400 plus years as a witness. We have this case with Brother Dorian Morrell. We have the case in Georgia with Ahmaud Arbery, Jordan Davis, Trayvon Martin, so many to name, and we don't have all night. I believe, as everyone else has said, collective unity. We believe in self-determination, That's the only way we're gonna rise up as a people. White people are not interested in sharing the wealth of this country. We already have a blueprint. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us a blueprint. Marcus Messiah gave us a blueprint. We just have to put it together. And that's something we haven't done. We have not put aside our differences. And we're still debating and fighting interiorly with one another. I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Panther, I'm a Nation of Islam, I'm a 5%er. But at the end of the day, this Caucasian don't give a damn about us.
No,
when
sir.
he kills us, he's not asking names and religion.
That's right.
So I think it's time that we stand up today.
Yes.
And we man up, Black man.
Yes.
There's nowhere to hide today. Our children are witnessing what's going on in this country. And they're not being distracted with TikTok. That's just a temporary distraction. The reality is we got to build up, we got to provide, we got to develop, and we're going to build Black economics. We got to have self-defense. We have to defend and define and protect what's in the best interest. We have a witness, Wall Street. We built up Wall Street. We didn't have self-defense mechanism. What happened? They came in and took it, they bombed it, and it's just a historical piece today. So it's an honor to travel from Jacksonville, Florida, to be on this panel. I'm a third generation Muslim. My dad was a secretary of the Muhammad Mosque, 66 in Jacksonville. I grew up in the nation and I still have affiliations. And we always thank Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, and the great Khalid Abdul Muhammad, and the greater Malcolm X. Black power.
Black power.
Black power.
Black power.
Free the land.
Free the land.
All Black laws.
All Black laws.
All Black people.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
George. Good evening. My name is Danielle Howard. I'm fortunate enough to be the pastor of this church, and so I wanted to make sure I open it for what we do here. And
Please give him a hand for that.
And I'm glad to receive them. I received the humility because we were just having a conversation in the Black community. The church was, is, and always should be the place where the community can gather. So we believe that, and we open the door. We don't pay the taxes to open it, so we might as well open it as often as we can.
Right.
That was the joke, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Greenwood, Mississippi. So the first time you heard the word Black Power was at Broad Street Park in Greenwood, Mississippi. They said, what do you want, power? And Stoker said, no, want Black power.
That's right.
So it's in my blood, it's in my veins. I'm a product of Jake and Johnny May Howard. And so I'm glad to be here. Where do we go from here to produce a Black liberation? I posted this, that we're not competing, we're collaborating. because we're in chaos. And so I'm here as a collaborator, not as a competitor. And everybody's not a Christian, that's fine with me. But if you chocolate, if you chocolate, it don't even matter. We fight for each other. Is that enough?
Yes, sir.
Christian, or whatever y'all want to call it, God bless you.
Yeah.
All right.
Now that you have heard what of our guests, and I think, and I appreciate, this is great. It is great. And Jacksonville, Florida, man, it's a great country too. But for this group, and you all have points of views, and I want you to be able to hit it hard. And I'm gonna throw out something that may sound crazy. All of you saying we need to cooperate. Is there an agreement there, learn how to cooperate?
Yes.
Yes.
Then what is the main demon that keeps us from cooperating? And if I'm wrong, I enjoy being told I'm wrong. How do we get rid of the competition in our psyche that makes us always want to compete with one another and not cooperate? What would be your strategy of how we can cooperate and eliminate competition? Is it necessary or is it not?
That's a lot for a question.
Yeah.
What does it say?
That's a lot for a question. What's our pointed question?
Pointed question. What are the methods of our need and cooperation? Is that clear?
Very.
What are our cooperative methods that we can implement right now? Is that fair?
That's right. Well, let me start with one. I'll say this. One of the things that helps be authentically you. If you are authentically you, there's nobody to compete with. And then trust the other person to be authentically themselves. Not who you want them to be, not who you need them to be, not who you're trying to make them be. And so the method is you can partner with her campus, and instead of going somewhere, go over there and spend it, and don't ask for discounts.
I hear you.
You can eat over at the mosque, you can eat over at the restaurant. Don't ask for discounts. You can buy Unistrata book. Don't ask for discounts. So be authentically ourselves, trust the other person, and then shop with them.
Who wants to move next?
I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that, brother. I'm a firm believer in living your calling. A lot of times, our people have come here, and by come here, I mean, so many children are born and not truly expected or wanted, nor reared or cultivated, that they go through their childhood not sure of a direction that life should carry them. Those individuals become adults who are wandering through life. They're not sure of their purpose. So they don't know how to live their calling. So we have to have environments, which is the goal of Permanent Campus. And we specifically call it that because everything we do is centered on honoring our ancestors, educating our children, and restoring our families. If we don't have an environment that is immersive, then we'll forget the fact that our oppression is systemic. We have to have an environment that is for our restoration. We're centered on the celebration of Black culture. And sometimes we believe that what cultivating us is means to emulate or replicate Caucasian American culture. And that's not true. If you can understand that there is a such thing as Black culture, and there is, then you will start to find knowledge of self. Then if you can see in yourself Africa, there's a lot of people sitting in this room right now. Some of us close our eyes and we don't have a relationship within ourselves with even that word. But I always tell people when they first come out on campus, if you can see Africa, okay, so can we handle whatever that is? Maybe everybody take a moment, pardon me. I know sometimes it seems like I take up a lot of space. Maybe we can do something with our phones so we can be present in this space. Because if we're going to discuss us, then get in here with us. You know, we have to remember that being us, I'm sorry you were born on a battlefield. That's just true for all of us. Brother talked about that at the time. We inherited this war. Our children are gonna inherit. But very much so like trying to save a marriage. If you're not really gonna get in here with this thing, it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
We have to create environments that actually cultivate purpose. And if you live your calling, instead of trying to mimic the accolades that you see, people get addicted to things.
Right.
You know, sisters, we as Black women are addicted to attention. I tell my daughters, I got 6 of them, don't let them pay you in attention. You know, brothers get addicted to favoritism. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But if you don't stop and do some self-work, cultivate this thing in here, if you can't truly within yourself see Africa, and you can't truly see yourself and your people free, it really won't matter what we try to do. It won't matter what we say. And if all you want is the warm and fuzzies, the accolades and the standing ovations without the work, anybody out here been to her living campus?
Yeah.
Raise your hand, you been to her living campus? One thing you do know, you come to her living campus, I don't care what you come to talk to me about, what we gonna do?
Work.
We gonna work. We gonna work. And that's the thing. Develop yourself, that's gonna take work. And you gotta love yourself and you gotta love those people that look like you more than you sick of us.
Right.
I'm gonna leave it there.
Thank you. I think if I could,
Okay.
Brown, put a footnote that attaches to what both of them have said. Cooperation versus competition. I just wanted to say that I don't think it's either or, I think it's both and. So not competition, but co-opetition.
Talk, sir.
I know that ain't a real word, but y'all understand.
Take that word, let's get a definition.
The success doesn't come from looking out the window. Success comes from looking in the mirror.
Okay.
And the competition only is negative because we compete with our peers instead of our past.
Oh.
And we spend too much energy trying to outdo our fellow man instead of working to outdo our former self. So at the end of the day, as Sister Latava and Pastor Howard said, I'm hearing self-improvement is the basis for community development. So we won't be able to have that kind of cooperation, or in this place, co-opetition, where you compete and cooperate at the same time, not trying to outdo your peers, but your past. Right. Not trying to outdo your fellow man, but your former self. Not looking out the window and judging others, but looking in the mirror and judging self and engaging in self-correction. And as it says in physics, that the whole, or the whole is equal to or greater than the sum of its parts. If each individual, wherever you are, whatever you do and whatever you believe, if you focus on looking in that mirror and engaging in self-improvement, you won't have to do all of the quote unquote cooperation. You will already be in cooperation and co-opetition by self-improvement, and then the whole that come together will be equal to or greater than the sum of its parts. So we make it to that goal by being the best version of ourselves in whatever position we in.
Can we please mute our phones?
Go ahead. Put that in writing too, so I can. I'm gonna milk your cow, I'm gonna churn my own butter. Go ahead.
As we look at ourselves, and I'm just gonna sort of piggyback on what Minister Mary just said, and also my sister, Reverend Janelle, that when you look at yourself, you really, what are you looking for? That becomes the question. Are you looking at what color you are, what your hair looks like, or are you looking at your intent when you achieve or strive to do a thing, even to be here? You know, whether it be Brother Jabu or whomever is here, what is your true intent? Now, white men particularly, really look to intent as being the all in all. I didn't intend to. So when they say that, that means everything is okay. Our people tend to lean to action, the actual act that you commit, not your intent. So intentions are great, but when you look deep into your intentions, who are you looking at? Are you doing this kind of a summit so that you can become a Black leader? Or, are you feeding the hungry because you like the feeling of being a savior and not trying to teach someone how to fish, so to speak? So that whole thing about intent and who you're looking at in the mirror, really take a look at what your intentions are and who you are as a part of our people.
Yes.
Okay.
The question, well, I'm hearing everything. All right.
Yeah.
You hear me? Black Power. What I see and hear is the question why we are like this. First, you understand the Willie Lynch syndrome. Second, the Stockholm syndrome. And also my psychologist teacher at Florida State, mind production and mind reduced, that Dr. Nang Akbar taught in the class of plantation psychosis. Bobby Wright teaches that we suffer from menticide. Menticide means a systematic destruction of a group's mind. The ultimate objective, you adopt whites, means European culture, ways and characteristics produces anti-help, anti-self-hatred, and anti-self-destructive motive. Number 4, we suffer from menticide. We suffer from a mind control and behavior modification. Look what they're doing today. They showcasing us to make like white supremacists is not even existent. Showcasing athletes, showcasing rappers, showcasing their money, their millions and stuff, showcasing their homes, how they live, their cars and drive. Then you have depopulation, annihilation. That's when they're killing you. Then they have white sacrifice. White sacrifice, you see the poor whites out there begging on the street, homeless and stuff. Make like, oh, ain't no white supremacy. This what they using. And then last, number 5, you trapped in the black matrix. What is matrix? Matrix is a material environment, and you're in the delusion of the deceptive of a lie and know the actual reality of your own being. Black power. Black power. Black power.
Fantastic. Superb. Ajabu, yes. Dr. Malika Zulu Sabah has just joined us. So I want to, if we could take a pause just for a moment.
Yes, sir.
And allow him to give us some words.
All right, Black Power.
Black power.
Right, and assalamu alaikum to others. All right, it's an honor to be on here, and I won't be long because I'm by video and you all are live in person. And I'm so happy to see what is happening live in person. So much to say. I'm gonna try to summarize. I want to say that there are many misconceptions about the new Black Panther Party. So what I will say will be designed to clarify those misconceptions. So giving honor to God and to my mentor, Khalid Abdul Muhammad, I want to say thank you first. I want to say thank you to Momoja Ajabu, who is one of our great leaders in the central region of the new Black Panther Party. He is my elder. He's an elder in the party, and he is a guiding voice and a solid reference and mentor to me. So I want to thank him, and I want to thank Brother Yasu. I want to thank Brother Yasu, the state leader of Indiana for the new Black Panther Party, for the work that he is doing and both of them are doing, because we want to be clear. What we're doing right now is putting all the pressure that we can and all the pressure that we must, and we will continue to achieve a conviction for the white vigilante Tyler Newby. White vigilante Tyler Newby, who killed Dorian Murrell, must be held accountable. And our efforts, what are we doing in Indiana? What are we doing in Indianapolis? Our efforts are combating white racism and white supremacy and fighting hard to build the new Black Panther Party, fighting hard to build a Black power movement and a Black or African united front for the purposes of combating white racism, white supremacy, and getting Tyler Newby held accountable. That's one objective. And so I will be blessed to be in town on January 5th. The trial starts on January 4th. January 5th, I will be in town to attend the trial and to continue what my legal organization, Black Lawyers for Justice, launched, which is a formal human and civil rights legal investigation into systemic racism, pattern and practices in Marion County court system and in the court system and the police department of Indianapolis. That investigation goes further, and on the night of December 5th, pardon me, on the night of January 5th, on January the 5th, I will be in town and we'll be back at this church because we want to have testimony from the experts, you all who live there. We have to have testimony as part of our investigation. And this investigation is even putting more pressure on the court system and the police departments in Marion County and Indianapolis. So what are we doing today in Brownsburg? What are we doing with the Tyler Newby case? We want to be clear. We're organizing to fight white racism and white supremacy, and organizing to fight injustice against our people. And that is why we are where we are tonight at this level. So I'm happy to be here and happy to support these historic efforts. We're also here for another reason tonight. We're here to support the continuation of leadership. So when you see young commanders like Commander Yasu, when you see the Lion of Judah leader, Nasi, that young man, when you see these other young Panthers around, then you can know that their big brother and their mentor, a main mission that we have is to, we're developing a cadre, and we're developing a future cadre and developing young leaders, not only in this audience, but around the country. Every Black man that we can find that might be headed to the jail or the penitentiary, or might be headed on the rolls of the devil, as we say, we're fighting hard to get them out of the enemy's way of life and into the new Black Panther Party or the Black Power movement or some organization that is helping our people, any organization. In that regard, I want to thank Brother Minister Nuri Muhammad for the Nation of Islam for supporting our efforts tonight and for being the continuous strong voice that he is, for being the good role model that he is for our people, and for just in general being an extraordinary young man. I want to thank Minister Nuri Muhammad, and I want to send well wishes to the brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam. I want to thank the national spokesman. I'm not going to be long. I'm just going to give some thanks, and I'm going to get off because you all are live. I want to thank the national spokesman of the new Black Panther Party, Minister Mikhail Muhammad. Mikhail Muhammad has come in from Jacksonville. He's pretty much an expert in local and state affairs and fighting in a state where Blacks would be a statistical minority and they face oppression. And Mikhail Muhammad is a ground worker in his state, and he's our national spokesman. Happy to have him there. Happy to have Minister Najee Muhammad there, Prince Najee in Atlanta. And he's the Prime Minister of the new Black Panther Party, and he's the commander of the Black Liberation Militia. He has a lot of experience, and he's a very hard worker. I want to thank him because this is a part of a leadership cadre. Everything I'm mentioning from the Panther Party is part of a leadership cadre, and that's what we're developing. And so we want to be clear, we're developing this leadership cadre for those that are watching. It's being very effective around America. As I move to a conclusion, Sister Elaine Brown, I can't thank God enough just for having you to support this effort and to hearing your words. Sister Elaine Brown, you are a legend. You are the former chairwoman of the Black Panther Party, and we support your efforts. And the cases that you're fighting and the struggles you're fighting are the struggles that we're fighting. And I would hope that our dialogue and relations would move closer together, because no matter what the lies that have been told about the original Panther Party and the new Black Panther Party, we're much, much closer than our enemies have tried to portray it. We're much closer, and we're of the same fighting spirit as it was many, many years ago. So bless you, Mrs. Elaine Brown. Black power, power to the people, ma'am. And I want to sit with you soon, and we'll be in Brunswick. We're going to be in Brunswick, Georgia on January the 7th for the sentencing of the McMichaels brothers, the McMichaels, the ones that killed and murdered Ahmaud Arbery. They have fortunately been convicted. Well, we want to be there for the sentencing on the 7th of January at the courthouse as we continue our efforts of keeping the pressure on this white, racist, oppressive system that is killing our people. And as we continue to find every Black woman and Black man and try to get them either organized in an organization or organized a part of this Black or African United Front that we are building. Lastly, I want to say on June next year, in March, this Central Region Summit should continue in Chicago. In March, this Central Regional efforts to build an African or Black United Front will continue in Chicago. On June 17th through the 19th in Mississippi, on June 17th through the 19th in Mississippi, there will be a national survival and defense training for all Black self-defense organizations. There is going to be one of the strongest national self-defense marches in our history on both June 18th and 19th in Jackson, Mississippi on the 18th, and on the 19th in Natchez. And on that weekend from June 17th through the 19th, all of the self-defense organizations will come there so that they can get properly trained, better trained by our experts, both armed and unarmed, that this will mark a culmination in serious training efforts of our people, because as we know, Sister Elaine Brown and others, the police are killing us. Our own people are killing us. And we must have self-defense, and we must convert every Black man or Black woman that is intent on killing themselves, that they must be converted over to the revolutionary forces so that they kill not another unless they have to kill the enemy of our people. I will be there on January the 5th for the trial. The trial starts on the 4th. I will be at this church on the 5th. I will lay out all of the charges of systemic racism and update the investigation. And I will be there to support the conviction of Tyler Newby. And I want to thank everybody that has participated, everybody that's watching around the country, thanking you for taking the load off my shoulders. I was going to be there, but I have a trial on Monday that I have to attend and prepare for. And so I thank the fact that we have a growing leadership cadre. And bless y'all, everybody from Indianapolis. Black Power, love you all. Black Power, and if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Chairman Nasi, the Lion of Judah Armed Forces, brother, God bless you. History is riding upon you, young man. And Davy Black Man Games, brother Knowledge, Pansock, and all of the Panthers. Black Power, love y'all. I'm gonna watch the program, Black Power.
Please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please. On the live stream, you gotta unmute yourself.
Conflict of interest, because we know how to protest and strike and boycott and yell, and when it comes to white police killing black people. But in a 3-year cycle, 2,000 to 3,000 black men are killed by police officers or correctional officers. That's bad. But what's worse is in that same 3-year time period, 25,000 black men are killed by other black men. So we can't, chant Black Lives Matter to the Ku Klux Klan and forget to chant Black Lives Matter to ourselves. So right now, there are more black boys born than there are black females. By the time the two reach the age 18, black females outnumber black males 7-1. This means the black male is dying at the rate of an endangered species. And you have organizations to make sure that the blue whale and the white tiger and the bald eagle and the koala bear keep from going extinct. So we are gathered and hoping that we can be that kind of organization to keep ourselves from going extinct. One of the biggest impediments we have, the root of it, is self-hatred. See, when you have knowledge of self, you love yourself. And when you know yourself and love yourself, you are Jabari, you are my brother. Drop the first 2 letters of brother, is other. My brother is my other self. So if I know me and love me, I'm gonna treat my other me the same way I treat myself. How can I rob my other me? How can I kill my other me? You my other self. So that's phase 1. Second, it is a natural reflex that any time that a conflict arises, for us to reach up into our mind for knowledge, wisdom, understanding, information, and data to be able to solve that conflict. But what happens after 400 years of miseducation, 400 years of being denied the knowledge of God, self, time, and what must be done, and the knowledge of our enemy? Whenever the natural reflex to reach up to solve a conflict takes place, we reach up and there's nothing there. So the only thing left is to reach down for a weapon, and we end up killing one another. So phase 2, that acquisition of the knowledge of self has to become the standard home-based education for every black boy and black girl, starting at not when they're born, starting while they're still in the womb of their mothers. They have to be programmed into a knowledge of self, and then when they grow older, don't wait on the public food system, school system. Yeah. Don't wait for the public food system to teach your baby. Give your children homework and let them learn about Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali. Let them learn about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let them learn about W.E.B. Du Bois. Let them learn about Shaka Zulu, Mansa Musa, Nefertiti. Let them learn about the great ones that look like them that accomplished great feats in the past. And what you'll find is that that knowledge of themselves will produce that love for self And whenever conflict arises and they reach up in their mind as a natural reflex, they're going to think about Queen Nzinga, they're going to think about Shaka Zulu, they're going to think about King Tut, they're going to think about Imhotep or one of the great ones. And when they draw strength from that, they'll find that it's easy to sit at the table of brotherhood and work out our problem. I don't need to reach down for a weapon and eliminate him from the face of the planet Earth. So that's two things that we could do. Base level, make sure that we have a thorough knowledge of self, and our babies do too. Number two, once we have it, when the natural reflex to reach up and there's knowledge there, we'll use it on the table of the brotherhood to solve the conflict. We don't have to reach down for a weapon to take each other off the planet. That would be, in the words of Dr. Malik Zulu Shabazz, he used the term convert Black men that want to kill one another into revolutionary forces that the only person they're thinking about killing is potentially their enemy if they aggress them. We have to make that conversion process, and I think that those two steps, filling that mind up with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, so when the reflex to reach up takes place, there's something there for them to work with instead of reaching down for a weapon, and we'll be able to fix that problem, Brother Jabari. And the Black male will be alive for the Black female, and she'll be able to pick a good man, and they'll have a good life, and we'll build a community again, and ultimately have a nation of our own. Hope that answers your question.
I'd like to address that question. Brother. I agree. Great. Said.
Are you all able to hear her? She's got a soft voice. Go ahead,
I'm going to offer some input to that as well. Actually, the nation has this saying. Often when you go in mosque, you'll see a sign that says the nation can rise no higher than this woman. You all heard that before?
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes.
I'm going to say, and one of the things that came out a lot, one of my daughters here was with me when we were in Ferguson for quite some time. And one of the things that we worked on was helping these sisters understand that young ladies who were out there with strollers and young children praying for the changes that they wanted to see, we had to remind them that they are our liberation manufacturing facility, and we need them to clear the streets at sunset. And I share that because there's a lot of sisters in the room, and I've been a Black woman all my life. And without being reared or surrounded with adequate love and self-value, we will keep seeing the repetition of young Black lives not being valued. I had the great fortune of being raised by a father who was a man. I'm a daddy's girl. My dad's been gone a great number of years. And still, even just mentioning, I didn't tell y'all his name, like, he still like puts a smile in my heart. I had the blessing to be a daddy's girl. That's something a lot of people underestimate about Black women. We underestimate the value of Black girls being loved as children. One of my biological brothers is in the room with me. And something that I know means so nothing to him, because he probably don't remember, but I reminded him a few times. I can remember I'm his little sister. And I can remember just one time of, I'm sure, many. I can remember a time where he spoke up and defended me on a city bus. We was just on the metro. I mean, it really was nothing. But I was a child, and that stuck with me. See, I was raised feeling valued. And because I know my value, fortunately, I spent a great number of positive years in the Nation of Islam, but that's not what gave me my value. I was reared with value. And most substandard, I had to remember, look over here and remember we in this man's church. Most substandard brothers really ain't trying to sit and have no conversation with me. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't do useless food eaters. Right. I got a yardstick by which to measure manhood. I didn't surround my children with useless food eaters. My children didn't know there was a such thing as shiftless men until they was teenagers. They didn't understand this concept because I surrounded them by quality individuals. I've been blessed to be born and raised right here in that. And I've been blessed to raise all my children right here in that. And my children have had the same elders their entire lives. We are culturally wealthy in Indianapolis. And we underestimate that because we have such huge problems that come from the outside against us. And because we don't highlight that, our people drown in the rivers of our problems.
Yes.
But we got some quality elders here who have given us much and have lots to give you if you want it.
That's right.
That's really true. I raised all 8 of my children in this community. My children, some of them sitting right in this room. And some of you have watched me raise my children. And some of y'all, I've whooped your children. That's a reality at hand. We use a village system to raise our children. And if we allow people to convince us that our culture, our village system doesn't work, we will keep feeding our children to the prison system.
That's right.
If we allow these type of gatherings to dismiss that, yes, we lose a lot of young Black men to that prison system. But for the past 10 years, 400% increase of Black daughters been going into that system.
Right. Yes. Right.
And we don't say that enough. We don't tell our daughters not to get caught up in attention. Right. Fathers aren't guarding the gates. We're just letting anybody who will take your daughter to come through that door. And because that's a problem, these same daughters are going to grow up, and what do you think they will produce?
Come on.
They choose the knuckleheads.
Yes.
They bring you grandbabies, and my daughters know you can't bring me just anything. I love children, don't like them all, and don't have no problem with going with you. The reality is, until we set a standard, and there is no standard other than the Black woman. The Black woman is the standard bearer of the Black community.
That's right.
So as long as we keep reducing our daughters to hoes and allow hoe habits to exist around us and not speak to it, not stop it, not intervene, not guard the gate, as long as brothers don't check brothers. I'm from a place where men used to check me. Now we let a lot of stuff slide. And so sisters are left to have to get in a man's face because the average brother will just not throw his life away trying to defend her. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm fortunate. I wasn't raised in that kind of family. I ain't from that kind of neighborhood. I got some people in this room from my old neighborhood. I didn't grow up in that era, and I don't get down like that. But until our children are worth it to us, again, it will not matter what hashtags or slogans we put on. Our children have to be worth it to us.
Yes.
Our women have to be worth it to us. And if it doesn't mean enough to you to groom and cultivate, and I'm not telling you I did a perfect job. I got wild age children too. But you got a system that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop, infiltrating the mind of us as a people. We can't get together once a year, twice a week, once a month. We can't get together like that. That's not gonna solve the problem. If we're gonna do a training has to be consistent. Brother, on the end of this panel, you know, we talk consistently, correct? What actually, he might not even know. What got me in the Nation of Islam when I was just 19 was my father saying, look here, you're gonna F around and make somebody have to kill you. I need you to do one thing. I need you to sit with these sisters. He's who introduced me to the elders in the nation. I need you to sit with these sisters for 1 year. If you can't find something to do with yourself, I won't say nothing else. That gave me a great deal of discipline. And I appreciate that because they had cultivated and reared me. And I was something to reckon with. But until we cultivate, I'm looking at these sisters in this room, and I don't know some of y'all, but I know it's been plenty of times you've been made to feel not valued, vulnerable, and afraid. Do you understand what I'm saying? So until we raise that bar, until we raise that standard, and it can't be enough, because sisters will go deep off. We love that deep, but we gotta be cultivated. We've got to be protected. That is our liberation manufacturing facility that does what the brother said. That's what programs your children in the womb. That's a vulnerable time. But we've got children right now being arrested in these schools, these prison camps that they call schools.
But they are.
They really are. They're practice prisons. I just had a conversation with a young man that was expelled 2 weeks after the school year started. And nobody said anything to give this man his education. What's he supposed to do? Parents giving up. We can't get together once a year. We gotta do real stuff. There's a lot of people in here got cases pending, got young people they love who got cases pending. That's a weight. We have to have a means of handling ourselves. Something as simple as being able to do community service within the community. Something as simple as somebody going to court with you. Something as simple as somebody helping you read something that you don't understand. We need that on a day-to-day basis. And I apologize for taking so long, but sometimes we gotta remember our solutions ain't really in outer space. They really right here, super tangible things. Super tangible. How to teach you how to make a grocery list. I mean, something that simple. To teach you how to make a grocery list. To teach you how to take care of a child without losing your mind. These are real things. And it bothers me because sometimes we think our job is grandioso and fluff. That ain't gonna get it done. That's not gonna get it done. So I'm gonna leave it there. I apologize for the length, but that's what's happening.
Good job.
This must be the brother. This is the brother.
There's one of them.
Oh,
My brother,
yeah.
Yes.
that's
I could tell as you was talking, his body language.
oh, he probably got a little sister.
Yes.
He got a little sister, but that's my big brother right there.
That's a big brother.
As they say, this is a family affair. It's a family affair. And I know our time is,
Yes.
yeah, you know, it's that time.
Brother, they got a question.
Okay, let me ask
Oh,
you
go
something.
ahead.
Well, I want to piggyback on what the sister said. She was right and exact. I think one of the problems is black men, we're not interacting with these young boys. A couple of weeks ago, Jacksonville, I was coming home from work at night, and a young sister was in a parking lot. Could have been around 10:30, but the store had closed, and that was a brother trying to coax into the car. So I pulled up, got out the car, and I said, "What's the problem?" And the young sister ran up to me. And I asked the brother, did he know her? He said, "Nah, man, what's it to you?" And I said, "Brother, this is a young black woman, brother, and so I can't allow you to do that to this young sister." The sister said, "I don't know him. I was walking home and I got a couple of miles to walk. Could you give me a ride?" I said, "No, sister, what we can do is let us call someone that can come pick you up." You understand? Because she was right. This brother's finna snatch her up in the car. And I could have said, "It's not my problem."
Right.
But would I be the man I am if I just kept on riding? So the brother got angry, pulled out the pistol. And so that's test. You're gonna be tested out here. And I say, "Brother, so you mad now?" "Nigga, this ain't your business." I say, "Brother, anytime you disrespect a black woman, it's our duty to step in and step up." So the brother calmed down and he got in the car and sped off, and we called the auntie. And auntie came and picked up. But here's the problem. She was walking the streets at 10:30 at night in the heart of the hood. So we have to teach our young ladies the value of self. If you don't have respect for yourself, love for yourself, no one else is gonna love and respect you. As an up and coming black leader, a lot of times I get messages on Facebook. Young girl, 18, 19, looking for a man, and I'm just flabbergasted. And I say, "Sweetheart, I'm 50 plus years old. We're not on the same level. I can teach you, but I definitely can't greet you." And they get angry and say, "I'm looking for a man." So we believe that the black mother has to clean up her act, go back home, and reach their daughters. Because once they get out in the world, it's a done deal. All the time in Jacksonville, young girls come up missing. A couple of months ago, one down in Callahan, Florida. Met some guy on Instagram, on Facebook. Went to meet him, didn't come back home. They found her 2 weeks later, buried in a shallow grave. So we're saying to the young sisters, what you're looking for is not out there. It's a deadly game. And a lot of times when we do step in to correct the young sister, they don't want to hear that because you ain't talking about how to keep their nails done, their hair, get them trinkets. So they don't want to hear that. So the black mother is the key to the problem. And the black father is the key to the problem. A lot of young brothers, they want correction. I met a young man recently, he was looking for a job. So I took him and got him a job, and he broke down and said, I've never had a man help me. The only man that helped me was to put me on the corner. So I understand what Brother Nuri is saying. We have to teach our young people and ourselves the knowledge of self, because when you love yourself, you're not going to allow anyone to harm you, and you're not going to harm yourself. So I think these forums are important, but we got to be consistent. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, build our own institutions, but we keep sending our children to the killing fields. So what do you expect them to come back with? If they're being miseducated, they're being taught self-hatred on a daily basis. So the end result is going to be black on black crime, black on black genocide and homicide. As a young boy, my dad was in the Nation of Islam, so I got to visit the temple and I got to visit the church. And so when I got older and I started falling off with discipline, I knew where to go to find discipline, find order instruction. I can say that Minister Farrakhan, what he taught me, did a great job, and what Dr. Collins taught me and what I'm running for Malik Zulu Shabbat in the new Black Panther Party, we're redefining what is a black revolutionary, which means complete constructive change, the love for yourself and your people. But it's a protracted battle out here in the streets. And so we're saying to our people, we gotta unite. The religion, the politics ain't working no more. We gotta see past that. When people say, you still a Muslim? I say, brother, I was born a Muslim. Do you still identify with Minister Farrakhan? Why would I not identify with my spiritual teacher? But I've been called to duty to go somewhere else and help build this tree. The nation, the new Black Panther Party, all these movements. We only believe in the same cause, which is to elevate the conscience of black people, to elevate the unity of black people, because we're a great people. And everybody in the world knows about us. So it's, to travel from Jacksonville to come to Indianapolis on the behalf of Brother Dorian Morrell. It's disturbing because we have it in Florida. We have another case where a young black man was shot and killed by the police last year, 40 shots into the car because he wouldn't get out the car. He was afraid to get out the car, so they surrounded the car, 40 shots at an 18-year-old that was frightened. And the traditional black leadership didn't say a word. And so how can we expect our young people to respect us and listen to us when we won't even stand up? We won't even lend our voice. It was quiet silence. So when I got involved, the traditional, it's a hate thing. It's not about color, but these officers that killed the young brother with 10 white police, they fired into the car. After they killed the brother, they sucked the dog in, and the dog bit a dead body. So we're dealing with peace. Yeah, we got problems in our community, but we have the power to bring about complete constructive change. We have the keys to this. White folks are not going to solve our problems.
Right.
They have not, and they're not interested in that. So it's an honor to come here to Indianapolis, to be on this panel, and to hope and pray that some of our young people would take some of the words that's been spoken and take it to heart, because the only thing they want to see is you're in prison, you're dead. They don't have any concern for you. When you go on Instagram and you go on Twitter, white people say, just lock them up, just kill them. So if they don't care about you, it's time that as young black people, you have to start learning how to care and love yourself.
Thank you. I know my time is.
Wait, let me ask a question.
What we got?
Brother Yasu, chairman for the Black Panther Party of Indiana. I brought this panel together because I want to get a little more deeper in the conversation of Indiana. We kind of spoke, and it's been some conversation, but it's time to take the gloves off. Let's talk about what's going on here. That's right. We got 261 murders in this city. I don't know how many arrests have been made. I don't know how many investigations have been done, but I believe it's under 50 that have been arrested on 261 murders. How do we get that? How do we control that? How do we change that? They have billions of money that comes into this community for violence prevention. I'm sorry, but what the name of the group?
10-point
They ain't
coalition.
doing a damn thing, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm speaking the truth here.
Got to agree.
They have put up fake numbers as far as the murders that they said that they occurred in areas, and you got people getting murdered right around the corner from his church. But he sit here and he reports numbers to the government to get funding on false numbers, and where is that money going? How do we get a hold of that?
That's right.
Our community is out of control. This government is not doing, the city is not doing anything to help us. How do we control that? I'm not trying to step on no toes, but I think we need to go a little bit deeper, trying to figure out exactly what's going on here in Indianapolis, and how do we bring the narrative to what it is that we need for our people to grow and to progress inside of our community. We have food deserts in there. I've got a plan I've been working on with Pastor Howard there. We got a community center over out in Keystone. I have a full, ready to go learning curriculum for aquaponic agricultural production and development indoors that we ground all the way year round. Nobody get on board to help. How do we get this developed to feed our community? This will create jobs. The community center that we have is going to help the youth.
That's right.
How do we generate funds? How do we change the narrative of what's going on in our city to benefit for what we're trying to be? I know we've been talking on a national level as far as for overall in our people, but I think we need to kind of focus more in on Indianapolis and try to come up with some type of solutions or a plan of action, or what do we do to help our community is what I'm trying to ask.
Are you from here, Brent?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay. KI Institute ran aquaponics for years, as well as a school to help teach young people aquaponics, cinematography, and things of that nature. I think what your curriculum plan is excellent. I would strongly suggest to you, look around or ask some questions to some old heads.
I reached out, no one to come on board. Everybody.
It's fine. I want to say this to you.
I'm not trying to, it's an ego thing. Everybody wants to
I'm 100% in agreement.
That's nothing is wrong with our city. We got a lot of these egos. You got pastors don't want to work with other pastors for petty reasons that they shouldn't even be there.
These ain't pastors. These ain't pastors. I'm telling you.
I'm just speaking to
I agree with that. Are you familiar with KI Institute?
I was trying to focus the conversation because I think we need to get a little bit more in depth on what's with the city.
Are you familiar with the institute I just told you about?
I've heard of them.
KI Institute. So what I'm trying to do is give you a viable connection to move your project forward, because you have a valid grievance that people aren't taking seriously and aren't helping put steam behind what you're doing. So I'm trying to give you a viable connection as to how to make that work. Independent schools.
That's right.
That's where you want to look, not charter schools, not public schools. Look at some independent schools. They exist here in Indianapolis. Also, there are a lot of food deserts, that's true. There are also a lot of community gardens. There are community gardens right here on this grounds where you're standing. There are community gardens in a lot of Black communities. If you need help getting in touch with some community gardens, I can do that, put you in touch with those individuals. If you want solutions, it's just like that old saying, you go looking for trouble, you go find it. One of the things I say, and I told brother this, I don't really deal with politicians too much, and I definitely don't deal with the police. And this is me saying it really nicely. But the reality of the situation is this. If you go looking for trouble, you're gonna find it. I don't believe they should make arrests from unless it's from a traffic stop. Accidents and things of that nature get a lot of people caught up. Sometimes police show up on the scene and you've been in a car accident. Next thing you know, everybody's getting locked up. Your L's ain't right, you got something in the vehicle, kind of this and the other. Well, if it didn't start with a traffic stop, I don't think there should be an arrest made, whatever it is. You know, you can violate this person's city ain't that big, and Negroes don't really leave town all that swiftly. Y'all ain't really smart out in these streets, young people. But I'm just telling you, sometimes we just not looking for the solutions where the solutions should be. We're looking for solutions in the area where the problem is. But no problem exists that the solution wasn't already there when the problem got you. I assure you, everything you're trying to do, from homeschool co-ops, whatever your curriculum is, I can likely help point you to and connect you to people who are already doing it. And if you're willing to work with them and introduce every organization that's been working always wants new blood. They want to pass the baton. You hear how you was talking about that? People who really trying to work for the people want to pass the baton. The hood been taking care of itself. We been not having no grant money. That grant money been going over the heads of the hood. It ain't been the 10-point coalition or nobody else. Backpack giveaways and all that stuff largely come from the same way these food giveaways come from. You know, it all comes from white folks' hands. But when it comes to making something out of nothing, all that stuff happens in the hood. When it comes to really educating children and home training, all that stuff happens in the hood. If you really want to make something work at a grassroots level, it's probably somebody already doing it. Unfortunately, you all haven't met yet. And it's a good idea to take an introduction and get in where you fit in. You can't, you know, you need to come up through the ranks. And I would say this to any young person. If you're young and you got that fire in your belly, I love it. Be willing to come up in the ranks. Because there's people who held this down long enough for you to get here to realize there was a problem. You know how many people walk around don't even know it's a problem? Or not even sure what the problem is? So somebody held that space for you to even get to that place. So they already here, and I'm just saying, you just need to meet the right people and roll them sleeves up. And that's the for real answer. So I won't speak about a problem. I'm not gonna be part of the solution for it. I don't have no, you see how the baby was crying over there? I had nothing to say. I'm not gonna be part of the solution for it. You understand what I'm saying? My daughter's just sitting there taking my grandchildren. Got a sock drawer, I'll give you socks. But you understand what I'm saying? But if we don't talk about a problem, I guarantee we need to talk about the solution.
Absolutely. But I would say, again, one of the things we try to do over here in this area that we're in, is we talk about Black Wall Street. You know what I find very interesting? No one discusses Mount Bayou, Mississippi. Mount Bayou, Mississippi was an entire town built by independent Black former slaves. And here's where I'm going with this. But in that town, you know what they knew they needed? The same thing America knew they needed. You need a judicial branch, you need a legislative branch, and you need an executive branch. If you want to reduce homicide, if Indianapolis is serious about reducing homicide, we had PANSOC, we had disciples, we had any brothers that said, we want to reduce homicide, and everybody went F-10-point. That's cool. It's cool to make one enemy, man. We do that so well. And we make one person enemy. Man, I ain't mad at 10-point. There are a bunch of old Black men who got old Black solutions to a problem. My granddad would probably be in 10-point. He'd probably be mad trying to tell you, pull your pants up. You know, that's the way they think. But if we gonna think different, we can't be hating on that thought, right? So we gotta have a different solution. So you can't build a city if you don't have anybody to execute the laws. You can't protect the community if nobody will execute the judgment on the problem in the community.
Right.
Hell, if you know where the murderer stayed and 10-point can't get him out, the police can't get him out, why you harboring them? We harboring these killers and they're saying, well, F the police, well, you won't let the police come and get them. They're sending PANSOC and let them go get them. You can't sleep at grandmama's house. You shot that house up and hit that 10-year-old boy, you need to go to jail. But see, we ain't, see, you talking about, but see, we ain't gonna talk like that, cause that's my homeboy there. See, we wanna talk that talk, but if you're gonna be a guardian of the community, we had a brother in here, we met here, this brother said, he'll police the community, and one of my guys actually said, what do you do when the police is beating somebody? When do you pull your gun? And he had no answer. So guess what? You can't police over here. We don't need you to police us. We need you to police for us. So guess what? A couple of things gotta happen. Honest to God, true. If we're gonna really own our stuff, we gotta have an executing branch that makes us own our stuff. Heard the guy talking about the code. You know, stick to the code. You can't enforce no code. You ain't got no enforcers. If you ain't got no enforcers, then how you gonna take care of something or own something? So we gotta have some real enforcers that say you can't kill nothing over here. You can't rape nothing over here. You can't take nothing over here. Because if you do, we're gonna have them PANSOC at your door, asking you to come quietly, or watch it get real loud. Now, again, I'm just saying, if we're gonna be honest, right? We're gonna be honest, right? And you can't have a bunch of soft, effeminate dudes talking about they pants off, or they protectors, or they guardians. You can't guard if you're soft. You gotta have strong people that say we guarding and protecting. All right, so there's gotta be a protecting and a guarding branch. If we're gonna talk about murder and homicide, we can't just we harboring murderers.
Right.
We keeping the killers.
Right.
So what, I mean, the solvability rate is low. Solvability rate is horrible, because we protecting the killers. They laid up at Big Mama house.
Right.
And we know they killed little homeboy.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have much sympathy for people who are in the game. If you're doing that thing, that's you doing that thing. I really don't. I don't have a lot of sympathy for it. You out there, you know what it is, you know what comes with it. But when you shoot a 10-year-old baby,
Come on, brother, teach.
who's in the house, when you hit an innocent girl, when you hit a civilian, when you violate that, somebody gotta come and see you.
Right, that's right.
And most people don't like the pastors. Y'all trying to make all of us effeminate. All of us ain't soft. All of us ain't gay. All of us ain't chasing your women. All of us ain't trying to get your money. Some of us are strong enough. If you don't want us to come, then you need to get the army to go see them then.
Black power. Black power. Black power. Black power.
Dr. Brown, I want to just add something to the equation. Of course, everything that I'm hearing is a reaction to something that has already gone bad. In the world of medicine, they have a saying that an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. So before we have to be in that situation where we have to regulate our own affairs, which is what we should do, and that is a biblical mandate for Black people.
Absolutely.
If you interpret scripture properly, there's 4 horses of the apocalypse, and one of them is the black horse. And he has a scale. The rider has a scale in his hand, and that's all white folks always want to know. Whenever something go bad, what y'all gonna do? Are y'all gonna take justice into your own hands? Well, that's what Scripture says. Right. The biblical mandate is that the black horse or Black people should take justice into their own hands. But before we get to that spot where we are administering this pound of cure, which might mean that we have to eliminate somebody from the face of the planet Earth for violating one of our brothers or sisters. Before we get to that point where we give that pound of cure, why not focus more on providing that ounce of prevention? And I'm saying that to say that before we have to come and black boot stomp down the door to snatch up somebody for violation, let's set up some conflict resolution centers. That's right. And let's organize the same shot callers of a neighborhood and let every church in that neighborhood have an open door policy that whenever there is a conflict, before we start riding down the street shooting where we're going to hit that 10-year-old little girl in that house, let's come to the table of negotiation to find out what the real problem really was. And 99% of the time is he said, she said. That's right. And if we can get past the he said, she said, and then come to the table where you got a mediator, 2 brothers or 2 crews, no weapons, right, where we can't reach down no more. We got to reach up. That's right. Because we don't have nothing to reach down for. And then we work it out and we stop that from taking place. I don't want to see the police do a better job at arresting everybody. Right. I don't want to see the judge or the jury do a better job at giving our people life in prison. Right. And I don't want to even see us have to be a black boot vigilante justice group that has to kick down doors and eliminate people from the face of the earth that look like us because they are a victim of circumstance. Right. I would rather see us provide an ounce of prevention so that we don't have to give out a pound of cure, from white folks downtown in the court system, police in the car, detective, investigator, or from us having to take justice into our own hands. Let's keep it from happening by bringing these brothers to the table. And I'm saying personally that 5 to 10 times a month, personally, I've got love from the people in the streets. So whenever I hear about something, it's not hard. I make a call and we bring them together and we squash.
Right.
It don't happen all the time, but for the most part, if we get the word, we can bring them to the table and put the weapons up. Nobody gets to bring the weapons. We search everybody and we get ready to sit down. We're gonna work this out.
Yes, sir.
Because all of y'all got children
That's right.
that need their father. And I don't want to see one black man in the ground gone forever and another black man that killed him in jail for 20 years, absent from being a father and a man to his community. So let's before we get into heavily looking for that pound of cure, let's work on this ounce of prevention.
Sure. Let me just say, because I got to run into another ministry. But I want to just say, that my people of Nation of Islam, you've been doing that for a long time. I'm sorry, you've been doing it for a long time. Unfortunately, I'm 80 years old and I do go all the way back to Chicago. And I was trying to be, would y'all believe wanted to be a Catholic priest?
Yes, I would.
Had a lot of members with Elijah Muhammad, but I wanted to be a Catholic priest. But you know what my problem was? I wanted to get married.
Oh, Lord.
Beautiful ladies. I wasn't gonna walk around.
Problem.
Come on,
But what he's saying, I'm just saying that it's very true what you're saying, but your movement is correct. But you got to have heart. You got to have a charisma of what your spirituality really is.
Right.
You're correct. A lot of the guys and young men period, that I see doing the papers and stuff, and I challenge. I got a brother right out here with the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance. Got another brother here. All the former students of mine. We've got to work on the Protestant, the protesting pastors of the Protestant tradition, bringing us together and all of us sitting together at the table. And I'm going to try to work with that word that you got called cooperation.
Cooperation.
Yeah, cooperation. Jesus, keep the books. Co-op your tissue. And I don't think that up. You jumped off. He's going to co-op our competition, which is really a good move. I'll play with that on the radio. But I'm just saying to all of you all, and I'm saying to stand my brother here and my brother there, my brothers and sisters, why do we always put the men before the women? Why don't we say women and men? I'm gonna start doing that because but the dynamics, you know, I'm glad to see my sisters and my brothers. Every time we walk in, what do we say? I'm glad to see the brothers and the sisters. I have not acquired the fact that God is male or female. That's a whole other thing. That's business. But what I want you all to do, let's do this some more. And Nuri and men from Jai.
Mr. McKell?
Yeah. These names are awesome.
Yes, sir.
And my friend Ricks didn't make it. But we go way back. And I'd like to say to you, Black Panthers, he hit it a little bit because in Greenwood, Mississippi, Stokely and everybody said, we want black power.
Right.
That was with King. I'm down there, but guess what? Nobody talks about the origin of the Black Panther Party.
Please.
Where?
Go ahead.
In Alabama.
Come on now.
Haynesville, Alabama.
Yes, sir.
My wife is from Selma, 1964. Some of you wouldn't even born.
That's right.
That's my first wife. I did correct that. Somebody go out here. But the dynamic was Bob Mance. These were people in 64 in Haynesville, Alabama, and they got together and said, well, what are we going to name this party? 87% of that county was black. And we got them registered. Even before Selma started happening, we got them registered, and they said, we're going to name our own party. And we came up with the word Black Panther. And all of a sudden, there was a Black Panther. And then my buddies, Fred Hampton and all of them, and from the West Coast, liked the word and turned around and co-opted it. I like that word. And made it happen. Because you all had a heck of a ministry. But when you hit that West Coast, that's a whole nother culture.
Oh, yes. It is.
That's a whole nother culture. And then you hit down in Chicago, Hampton, coming from the NAACP.
Yes, sir.
That's a whole lot of history. But you have been resurrected. Now give me a theology on that, Louis. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something that the devil ain't gonna do for none of y'all. I love you. I'm gonna leave you alone.
Give brother a hand. Give brother a hand. I see that you had another comment. You had another comment.
What y'all idea?
And, huh?
Now,
No, there's three things that I want to do. Brother Nuri, are you gone? Okay, okay.
You go?
No, it's not gone. There's three things that I want to do. I want the panelists to think about one thing that we can do as an organization, as a people, with your organization, that we can do together to further our step. Just think about one thing. There are organizations here that want to make solidarity statements so that we can widen this circle and start pushing together in the same way. So I want you to, and then I want to add y'all to dig in the Bible. Well, I got quiet then.
I got a minute.
Yeah. Hopefully we can find some way to spend it. But all of this costs. All of this costs. So I'm gonna come to you. Then I'm gonna go to the solidarity statement. And then we're gonna pass that basket. And hopefully y'all will dig deep.
I mean, bro, there's still a little bit to that we ain't getting finished.
Say that again.
There's still a little bit of that we ain't getting finished. I thought out of this, we want to try to come out of this with some directional options. I know we got certain things on the table as far as, like we said, food desert, we got the crime thing, we got the support system thing, we got the violence community. I was more on lines of hoping we could find a foundation and lanes to battle those different obstacles that we have in our community. I know Mr. Nurigan went on and spoke on a couple of radio shows with Pastor Wayne and things like that. And I know we've been discussing it, but I haven't heard any opportunities to create solutions. So I guess that's kind of what I'm looking for out of it, for us to be able to develop something for the city to follow and for footsteps for us to be able to continue on what we need to continue on. That was basically the second half of my question.
I think she's about done.
Okay, thank you. I think you heard one.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think you observed one of our issues too, right here tonight, when there was the negativity expressed about one effort in the city to do something about crime. And that was the criticism of 10 Point. Whether we like them or not.
Excuse me. While she's giving that else, can you tell them to hold that back there so that we want to be respectful of the answers?
I just said whether we like it or not, they're trying to do something. I mean, and that's one of our problems, I think, as a people. We are always sticking it to somebody because we don't like how they roll. If you don't like how they roll, then roll your own way. That's one thing. Now, the other thing that this brother asked for in terms of a solution, and that would be the resolution centers. It's something that can be pretty easily put together in our churches. a resolution center for conflict. And then another thing, and this is my last comment. There are so many sisters out here struggling with their teenage young men's sons. We have big brothers and big sisters. I have always advocated for a big daddies organization. Someone that these moms can call for help when they're dealing with these children who have gotten out of their control. And I'm seeing it with 12, 13-year-olds, telling their mothers what they're gonna do and not do. So when you're in that situation, you don't have family to call, who do you call? So those are the key solutions, Brother Jamar.
Okay. Elder Rush, is he still out there?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back everybody and ask them to wrap up.
And bring Brother Nazi. And while we're waiting on them, we have Elder David Rozelle from the Veterans Association for African Descendants. He wants to give us a solidarity statement, and I'm asking for solidarity statements to be shortened to.
I don't know if I'm gonna need a microphone. I'm a trained broadcaster, so if you can't hear me.
Give me just a second, sir, like, yeah, over here, you can break it up sometime. Yes, sir, you're good to go.
Elder Rush leader.
All right, good evening, everyone. First of all, it's a privilege and an honor to be in your presence. I came in a little late because I got a real full schedule today. In fact, I have to leave in a little bit if I want to stay married. But I do want to say that this was an important stop for me today because of what it represents of an effort to unite our people. It's an effort to unite our people. Years ago, I was hired to be the executive director of the Indianapolis Commission on African American Males. And during my first year, a brother named James Garrett, who still is the executive director of the Indiana State Commission on the Social Status of Black Males, he came to me and he asked me, he said, Dave, what is it that you think that Black people want? And I said to him, listen, when I was growing up in the 50s and the 60s, there were two bywords that almost every Black people would say when you asked them that question: freedom and equal opportunity. The freedom to live without being a slave and somebody else being to determine whether or not you live or die. They changed the Constitution that was supposed to give us the legal right to be free. But those are just words on paper. We have to work out, as the Bible says, work out our own salvation. We have to work out our own liberation as well. And the other thing, an equal opportunity, is we need, once we're free, to have the right to use everything that God has given us to support and raise our own families, not just to work a job, but to be entrepreneurs and to own something. Too long, we have sent our children into these schools with the idea that you're going to be able to get a good job when you graduate. That's bull. All that means is that you're going to be a slave for the rest of your life. And so I told him this, and I say this to you, that if we're going to be unified, we have to have some things that we recognize we have in common. We have to have commonly held values, commonly held standards, and commonly held goals. Commonly held values, commonly held standards, and commonly held goals. And I just want to mirror and echo what everybody has said. We have to have self-knowledge. Self-knowledge leads to self-love, and self-love leads to self-respect, and self-respect leads to self-determination. And self-determination leads to liberation. You cannot get to liberation without knowledge of self, without love for self, without self-respect, and without having some commonly held goals, values, and standards. There are more things that we have in common than things we don't have in common. When white people look at us, they see us monolithically. They don't say he's a Catholic, he's a Methodist, he's this, he's that, he's a Panther, he's Nation of Islam. All they see is that we all niggas to them. Well, if they can see us having that in common, how come we can't see the things that we have in common for ourselves? And the last thing I want to say is that we're talking about war if it's necessary. And Elder and I have this conversation all the time. We're at war right now. Yes. We've been at war ever since we've been on these shores, even before we came on these shores, when the European Pope ordered the kings of Spain and Portugal to go and rape the continent of Africa and subjugate the people forever. And they've been on a mission, a steady mission to do that to people of color and particularly African people ever since. Well, here we are now. If we're in a war, we have very little chance of survival and zero chance of winning if our soldiers are killing each other. That's right. Let me say that again. We have very little chance of survival, let alone winning, when our soldiers are killing each other in a war. And so I would challenge you to talk to these young cats that you know and young ladies who their solution is to go down instead of going up. Mr. Nuri, challenge them and say, if white people start shooting and killing black people, do you think they're not gonna shoot you just because you a Crip or you a Blood or you a Methodist or you a whatever? They're gonna see you as their enemy and they're gonna shoot you down if they can. So what's the point of having them shooting us and we shooting ourselves? We cannot survive, let alone win, if our soldiers are killing each other. So we need to find something that we can coalesce around. And the one thing that's true of everybody in this room, you had a mother and you came from a family. Come on. You had a mother, you had a father, whether you knew him or not, or whether you knew him or not, but you had a mother and you came from a family. Family with children is the one thing that we all have in common. If we can coalesce around our children, as Sister said, what you described is what we call rites of passage. You had the same elders all your life. You expose your children to the same elders all their lives. You all have commonly held values, commonly held standards, commonly held goals. You're not gonna subject your children to somebody who is totally opposite from where you are. And so that's what we need to do, is understand, what are our values? What do we value as a people? What are our standards? What will we put up with? What won't we put up with? And what goal do we have in mind where we're willing to fight, die, and kill in order to achieve it? And so I'll end by saying, stop saying children are your future if you don't want to give the children a chance to shape their own future. Come on. God bless you.
Give that brother another hand. Brother Nasi. Come all the way from Minneapolis.
Yes, Minneapolis.
Minnesota. Yeah. He's a young, fiery,
yes,
young man. I want y'all to know him. And again, I want you to be sure. And there's solidarity there. We're standing together.
Peace and blessings, shalom, hotep, assalamu alaikum, my beloved brothers and sisters, Black Power.
Black power.
My name is Brother Nazir. I am the National President of the Line of Judah Armed Forces. We came down here to stand in solidarity with my beloved brother, CG and the family, seeking for justice, to make sure that our beloved brother Dorian receives the justice that he deserves. I just want to tell a little bit about myself and what we do, because I know I got short time. But we're gonna read a mission statement real fast on basically what we stand on. So go ahead.
Peace and blessings. I'm Antonio Johnson, Chief of Staff of the Line of Judah Armed Forces. The Line of Judah Armed Forces' mission is to help free the chosen nation from mental, physical, and spiritual bondage, while uniting the chosen nation after being taught self-hate and division for over 400 plus years throughout the four corners of the earth. We must teach and obey the code of conduct, self-accountability, rules and regulations in our homes, community, nation, throughout all of our lives to bring forth order, discipline, morals, love for our truth, live in Elohim, self-respect, love for each other as a chosen nation, studying the importance of being self-sufficient while structuring ourselves and becoming an independent nation, again, and staying set apart from the world of the Gentiles that practice lawlessness. Take action in implementing the seriousness in protecting our women, children, brothers, sisters, elders, and the nation as a whole in righteousness. Instructing lessons, classes on sisterhood, modesty, and becoming virtuous women, parenthood, culture, ancestral traditions, dietary laws, and more. Unlearn the lies, rebirth the mind.
Y'all, most definitely. So, basically what we've been doing, we have classes every Saturday, and every Sunday. We're making sure that we're very consistent with teaching the youth, teaching our brothers and sisters. We got sisterhood classes every Sunday. We got a school every Saturday. We're basically teaching our brothers and sisters the importance of removing themselves from white supremacy. Because if you really want to be free, freedom is basically setting yourself apart from the ways of the white man, from their culture and everything else. But also what we do, we're in a community fight against the crime that we commit against ourselves as well, not just police brutality. But we sit out there day in and day out, boots on the ground, breaking bread with our brothers and sisters, trying to be black messiahs to save our brothers, to bring them in, to educate them, and tell them to stop the foolishness. Because we stand on principles, we stand on law, statutes, and commandments, we stand on the instructions, and lawlessness is the reason why we continue to die, we continue to suffer, and we're in the situation that we're in to this day, all right? So we must plant order within the black community. Every nation on the face of the earth today has rules, regulations, code of conduct, laws, and instructions. We as a black nation must turn back to righteousness, and we must turn back to the laws of loving each other as brothers and sisters of the black nation. With that being said, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I love y'all, family.
You gotta warn me short and sweet this, because I can go very long like I'm minister. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings. I am Sister Lakeisha X. I'll always be an MGT. Mr. Farrakhan is also my spiritual father. That's right. Dr. Elijah Muhammad, most definitely Master Rob Muhammad. Yes. I stand as a chairwoman for Oklahoma City with the New Black Panther Party under Attorney Malik Shabazz and everyone else you see here. I want to quickly just say this, and I want to make sure that we all play our part. We'll be back down here to help Dorian. One way that we can prove that we learned from this meeting tonight is to stand up for Dorian Morel. We most definitely need to be in the courtrooms. We need the right legislator, the governor. There's more than just going out protesting. But right now, Dorian really needs us. They put the hang him. It doesn't make sense in Oklahoma to face a case like this too next week. I've already talked to the brother. His boss, I'm gonna make this story short. His boss buried him under a septic tank. He dug a 5-foot hole for him And then the septic tank was 8 to 10 feet deep. It'll be national in just a minute. But the point I'm saying to that, and he got out, first degree murder charges for a $50,000 bond. Dory Maria, $25,000 bond. There's no way we should let them take our children from us. Something else about Dorian is that his mother had already lost a little girl prior to this. She's hurting. And then she was her son. And he was standing up for George Floyd. So I'm asking the community, as we all stand here tonight, to get with the elder and make a bond and a pledge, and y'all know how we do in the nation. Our word is our bond. From phone calls to showing up, we're coming back down here. But it takes all of us. That's where the values start.
Come on.
Because, right, that's where the values start. 2 to 3 in the courtroom, making the phone calls, letting them know that you're not getting away with this.
Right.
You know? So I'm gonna be short. I can be long. But I just wanna make sure I'm really begging y'all. Because they haven't been getting the support they need. We know this. And it's very sad that the mother, the grandmother, and the family, it happens in every city and state, don't have the support they need. We can't change the past, but we surely can change the present and the future.
All right.
Like that.
We have one more for the knowledge.
Speak up, brother.
Peace to all the guys and nurses out there. How y'all doing?
Peace.
Knowledge, Pansock, basically I'm a weapons instructor. Weapons. My job is basically to train black men and women, mainly children, certain ages, 7 and up, to be efficient with a weapon. It's my passion. Guns is my passion, what I do, and I see that a lot of us are not trained properly with weapons.
That's right. Come on.
That's I was 5% too, for those who don't know. But the thing is that we as people, so scared of guns. Some black people, they see a gun, they get scared. Oh, you shouldn't have it. We've been told that black people, shouldn't have weapons. Every time they see a black man with a gun, they run off and call the police on. Our own people tell us you shouldn't have it. It's bad. I remember my mom used to tell me, I don't want you playing with no guns. Guns saved my life at one time. I was about to die. My friends, he had a gun, people can say. So, guns really, show me structure. And it can really be structured. It's not the gun that's doing it, it's the person. If you ain't trained properly, then, you're fool. So, it's my job to train, when it comes to some of that training. I'm out here local. I'm on the far east side, 42nd post area. I'm out there all the time with a couple of my guys. We do open arms. We call it 2A information demonstration. Basically, we get together, we open carry with flyers, and we pass out 2A information. Basically, gun laws, what you should and you shouldn't know, what you can and you can't do. So, and that's another problem we have. We quick to pick up the gun as a youth, but we don't know that there's laws. We have to go to jail for carrying. It's a misdemeanor. But if you're a felon, it's automatic 85%. So you might do, they give you 10, but you're going to do that 85, so you probably do 8 years. You know what I'm saying? Just have a hand. So, stuff. If you want to learn, just come holler at me. Holler at Pastor, where you go, Pastor Howard, here. Pastor Howard, our job, they know how to get in touch with me. So, thank y'all for having me.
Good job, bro. I want to come this way. And I want that one thing that all of us can do from our own platform that we can work together.
Well, for the sake of time, I just would say that I'm in consensus and agreement with everything that has been presented thus far. And if there was one thing that I would put in the atmosphere for us to take away as an action item is just something simple that we all can do. It costs nothing. let's go back to calling each other brothers and sisters. If we call each other brothers and sisters, words are powerful. Words don't just describe reality, but by the law of substitution, words have the ability to create a reality. That's why you look in the scripture and anything that God wanted, he didn't think it and wish it, he spoke it into existence. God said, let there be light. God said, let the stars adorn the heaven. God said, let the firmament cover. God said, let us make man. In the Quran, we say it like this, when Allah deems a thing, he simply says to it, be it is. If we began to put the word out there of calling each other brothers and sisters, what happens is I'm your brother and you're my sister. Your daughter's my niece and my son is your nephew. Every problem becomes a family problem, and we graduate out of having sympathy for one another into having empathy for one another. Sympathy means that I don't like that you feel bad, but empathy means that I feel what you feel like it happened to me. And when we get to that level, I think we'll be more invested in making sure that we are all taken care of and looked out for, and that our women are respected, our children are raised, and that we can value the life of one another to the point that we won't take each other off the planet. So that's one thing to put out there. But I stand in solidarity with all that has been said, and look forward to the future of pulling this together again and doing more. And in the very near future, Brother John.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's right. You.
My input would be to know yourself.
That's right.
And you can start in your own families. So many of our families are so scattered. They don't know who their people are. They don't know where they came from. I wrote a book called Black in Indiana. And this book is based on life of Black people here in Indiana in 1821. And it's for sale all over the place. So it's easy to get. I don't have it with me, I'm sorry. But if you begin to teach your own children, your own families, who they are and whose they are, I think that will begin to be a big step and go far towards bringing us together as brothers and sisters. Because you don't know, it's probably your cousin sitting over there and your other cousin sitting over there, you just don't know.
Right.
So we are a family. So start in your own homes, knowing the family who you are.
Thank you, my sister.
Question.
Say who?
It's a tough question for me. One thing. Yeah, so one thing.
Oh, the one part is tough.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first law of freedom is responsibility. So doing for self. And what Her Living Campus can bring to this is an environment where we can do just that. So one of the main things for our freedom is being able to feed ourselves. We have enough land to do that. And so those who are committed to being responsible for curing food deserts in their area, we have both a base and outlying posts of community gardens that we can connect to. That would be one thing. But the first law of freedom is responsibility. That's being responsible for ourselves.
Thank you. You're right. Okay. Since y'all are the same organization, you speak.
Well, I'm empowered tonight to make this long trip. We got a lot of work to do, and nobody's gonna solve our problems but us.
That's right.
White folks cannot teach our children how to do conflict resolution. That's our job and duty and responsibility. We have enough professionals in the Black community to pull this off. So we gotta get serious about community building, developing, because change starts with us. We know the answers. It's just gonna take us to sit down and say, sisters and brothers, let's work together. Because our children They have lost faith in us. And that's why they do what they do. But once we unite, our children will follow us. We can't tell the so-called street organizations to put down their violence and weapons and division when we're not doing it. A lot of times I get hit with questions. Do you have a problem with Christians? And I say, no, I'm a follower of Christ. Do you have a problem with brothers in the nation? No, I'm part of the nation. And we have to learn to be respectful to one another. And if we do that, we can bring about complete constructive change. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm going back to Jacksonville and beyond Jacksonville, just go to work like I always do. Black power. Black power.
I will add to this conversation. Historically, there was always a debate between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. Which answer was the right answer? They made us try to choose one or the other. The truth is it was both and.
That's right.
So I'm saying both and to the solutions that have been put forward. Here's my and. My and is institution building. And so my selfish plug on institution building is the Evolve Education Center. Because if you ask yourself, where can you get these teachings? Where can you get these trainings? Where can you get these meetings? You're meeting here because we own the institution. Which means we didn't need permission to have this kind of a meeting. I hope y'all don't miss that.
Come on, brother, bring it.
If you don't own the institution, then somebody has to say, can we? When you own the institution, you say, will we? That's why we support Early Living Campus. They own the institution. That's why you should shop with the nation and eat the food from the nation. They own the institution. That's why you should buy the books, Black in Indiana, because they own the publishing.
Come on, brother.
That's why you should shop and spend your money with Black organizations and Black businesses, because if we're not building institutions, then we have nothing. So my answer, my solution is institutions. Build solid Black-led institutions, liberation, and advocacy. We'll be ready with all those things.
That's right.
We change our language in the institution. We change our authors in the institution. We learn to plant, liberate, and respect in the institution. We learn how to bear arms properly, as David said, in the institutions. Learn how to respect our elders and hear the stories in the institutions. We learn to fight back against division based on religion in the institutions. I don't care if you're Alpha, Sigma, Beta, Zeta, whatever you are. That's not your institution. That's a thought. The institution is what we need. That's why the banks are closed.
Come on, teach.
You don't have no money. You don't manage the money. That's why the schools get the lead. You don't own the school. That's why the grocery stores take off. Because we lost the one that we had. Not knocking anything, I'm saying. Build some institutions. Build some institutions.
And we're going to shut it down. Anyway, the time has not been determined yet. January 5th. We're going to reconvene. There will be some follow-up with all of the panelists as to where we can go from here in tandem.
Brother John, can I say, for any of them who are interested in being part of any classes out at Early campus, it's a university, so you can always get involved in something. My daughter here on the front row, has a QR code, a QR code that you can scan with your phone if you need to get, some contact information or further, get involved something with your children, with yourself, and definitely with, learn how to get the receipts and so that.
That's right. That's first and foremost.
Yes.
People cannot call themselves free if they can't be. Make a donation. Likewise, the New Black Panthers Party has started a liberation school that's online. We meet every Monday. Everybody has been passed out a card where you have your, give us your information, then we'll send you the link where that you can chime in, attend. And we're trying to put all of that together in ways that we're working in tandem. We gotta work together. That's right. So with that, I would like for everybody to repeat after me. And if you would, please stand.
Yes.
Clean up after yourself.
You got you, Pastor. Take your eye. I spoke well.
And we'll also have you this check.
Okay.
I'd like to keep your seat.
Thank
you. Yeah. Blessed are those who struggle. For oppression. Is worse than the grave. It's much more noble. To kill for a cause. Than to live. Die. Enslaved. Up you mighty people. Accomplish. Black power. Black power.
That Marcus Garvey.
That and that first one is the last part.
Hey, brother, still, brother, every chair don't go.
Somebody's coat. Somebody else's coat.
What you say about the blue? Let's take it down. I gotta put that blue together.
You just everybody drop it.
So I was telling you, I'm one of the youngest children. And I had to tell one of my sisters in a situation like this, not supposed to go right back to childhood. Because that is why I feel all good. All my whole I was here and say, I don't have to carry weight because all the big ones is here.
Right.
You know, mom and her daddy is gone. They got to step up there. Y'all ain't step up at all. No, y'all ain't step up at all. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying, brother? If they already know that if they can do it, and you already know the master
only both ways, right? All right, I appreciate it.
Okay. You okay with the same thing, your pastor? Thank you. Yeah.